Okay.
Good morning.
I'm a winner. I know how to win.
Hey, Big Daddy, how you doing?
Real good. Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen. The Rob Brown Show is on your radio, which means it's 6 a.m. How do you do, dudes and dudettes, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages? Rob, the great one, Lonzo, with you this lovely Thursday a.m. Hope you're well. Hope life's just been, spectacular for you. Has been for us. We're doing great. Thanks for asking. Very kind of you. We got a show lined up, kids. You know how Thursdays go. Thursdays get they get busy. They get heated. They're big time. All right. We got a lot. We got Lulu Kesin at 8 a.m. to go ham, talking about the South Carolina Gamecock Athletic Department. We'll check in with what football has been up to the last couple of weeks since the finale of the 2024 college football season. Got a couple of news and notes. Your boy Lenora Sellers getting a little cat.
He won an award.
That's the one. That's what I was going to say. He did won an award. So we're going to tell you about that, talk with Lulu about it and what she sees out of that young man moving forward. We got Rashad Beard coming up at 8:40 this morning. One of the things I love about my guy Rashad is that Rashad Beard gets into the draft talk like months in advance, like way out. So we'll see what Rashad Beard has got for us in terms of what the off-season plans of the Cats in silver and blue look like. That's at 8:40. 9 o'clock. We do have a little shifty shift in the 9 o'clock hour. Ordinarily, Hatin Ass Mario would join us in the 9 o'clock hour at 9 o'clock. Today, he joins us at 9:20. We have to flip Mario and Fight Club. Mario's got a doctor's appointment early in the AM. He's going to be joining us at 9:20, which means Fight Club with the great one. Lonzo is going to be straight up 9 a.m. Your home for combat sports in the upstate. And as far as I know, and I could be wrong about this, the only show in the upstate that talks MMA, boxing, and professional wrestling is the Rob Brown Show. Fight Club coming up at 9 a.m. on the dot. So we'll get into all of that. Outside of that, we got a lot of other stuff we got to get to on the radio broadcast today. A lot of other stuff we got to talk about on the program. How about this? We had a story a couple of weeks ago when college football went head-to-head with the NFL. Straight up, head-to-head with the NFL. And the NFL won, like by a lot. Like the NFL won a lot. There was definitely a little bit of a fade-off from NFL ratings overall. Definitely. Noticeable. College football, on the other hand, saw like a huge swath of their normal audience fall off. And we talked about that. At the end of the day, though it may not be true in every region of the United States of America, nationally, the NFL is king. It just is. It's not necessarily that way in large chunks of the southeastern region of the United States. But nationally, the NFL is, was, and remains the king. College football came at the king, and they missed. Now, there are variables to the equation. I think you have to include in the equation the reality that the two games on Saturday that were up against NFL games, not super attractive games, with all due respect. Clemson at Texas was, a 13-point spread? Not super attractive. And the other game that went up against the NFL was Penn State versus SMU. Not super attractive. Like these are two of, if not the two teams that people pointed and said, why are they in while Bama, South Carolina, and Ole Miss, even at 9-3, are out? We all feel like, South Carolina did beat Clemson. And just about everybody felt that if they could beat Clemson, and yep, you got to be careful about the transitive property of college football, but if South Carolina beat Clemson, it's okay to argue they'd have beat SMU, who was right there with Clemson, but did lose to the Tigers the next week. So these were the teams that were being pointed at least two of them, Clemson and SMU, that they put up against the NFL. And the NFL whooped in the ratings. I tell you that to set up this. Zoe, the first round of the NFL playoffs, ratings fell off 10% from last year. 10% from last year. That, in television numbers, is a lot. Is a lot. For a sport that in the playoffs ordinarily is going to get, 20 million viewers for an NFL game, that means they lost 2 million viewers per game. That's a big fall off. So my question is, as all good questions start with, why? Why did it fall off 10%?
Well, some things I think factor in is the overall viewership of that kind of TV being down probably. And the other thing is, are they factoring in the streaming? Because most of these games are also available on Peacock or Paramount Plus or some other streaming entity.
My understanding is that TV networks, scratch that, not my understanding. TV networks do count their streaming content towards their viewership ratings. Over the last couple of years, Nielsen, which is the company that most of these ratings come from, and there are, listen, like anything else, there are critiques about the system that Nielsen uses. Is Nielsen a bit archaic? Is it a bit old school? I know that, for instance, most, not all, but most radio stations have begun to move away from Nielsen. Now, there's a lot of reasons for that. Part of the reason is that with the advent of technology in vehicles, a lot of stations can just track using the radios connected to the tower how many people are listening and when and where, et cetera. But with TV, Nielsen is still pretty much the draw when it comes to calculating ratings. And Nielsen does include, according to artificial intelligence, searching the web on my behalf because I am lazy and busy, but lazy. Nielsen measures live, DVR, on-demand, and streamed content. So they do count streaming content from Hulu, YouTube TV, Peacock, Amazon Prime, whatever the streaming service is. Now, they apparently have like a way to separate those, but they do include them in the overall. So this is, with the exception of understanding that there are many people out there that pirate streams now. Okay? I'm telling you, not because I know if any big-time government authorities are listening right now. I don't know this. I would never. But
sources tell you.
Sources report to me. Sources that I will maintain their anonymity with strict regard. Sources have informed me.
It's journalistic integrity.
Of which I'm just made of it.
Yes, of course.
Okay? I don't need to come in here and tell you, #sources, trust me, bro. Sources tell me, though, unnamed, unidentified sources, that I will protect their integrity till my dying breath. Sources tell me, Lonzo, that there are just there are websites that are really easy to get to where you can just click a button and watch a game. You don't have to stream a damn thing. All right. Or I should say, you don't have to pay for a streaming subscription. There are just websites you go to, click a button, wango, bango, you're right there watching that game. Now you're going to be 10, 12 seconds off the pace, but you can't do it. Speaking of, as a brief aside, I think this is worth bringing up. But Adam Schefter is allegedly getting busted up for watching NFL games on an illegal stream. He shared a clip on Twitter of a touchdown from a game from the Houston, I think New York Jets game from a couple of however many weeks ago. And Schefter put up a clip on his Twitter account, and up in the top left corner of the screen cap that Shefty posted, which has the NFL and Prime, Amazon Prime logos in the top right corner, over in the top left corner, there's another overlay. I hesitate to tell you the name of the overlay because, I don't want to get labeled as responsible for driving people to an illegal streaming site. But I have to tell you what it is because, you'll understand. Shefty put up a screen cap of a picture with the Prime logo, the NFL logo in the top right, and an overlay up in the top left corner of methstreams.com.
Wait a minute, meth? As in?
Yeah, like not Mike Tyson saying it's sloppy, like, oh, you made a meth. No. METH, methstreams.com.
Like methamphetamine.
That would be it.
Okay, all right.
And
so maybe even more wrong than what you thought.
Here's what I'll tell you. What I did yesterday, in case Captain America Chris Evans down the hall in the gang are listening, is on my personal computer. I went to messstreams.com.
So not your work
not on my work computer. I got my laptop. My work laptop is this one.
The one that you're beating on.
Doesn't matter. Look, did you see what they did when they handed it to me? Look at this.
Yeah, I was there.
This was documented.
Yeah, I was there
I didn't do it
when he offered it to
the corner of this laptop
and told you that it had been, but
when they were like, here's somebody else's one that's already broke. Have it.
It's about the innards, man.
It is. It works like a dream. Works better than my last one did. Anyway, the point here is I went to messstreams.com on my personal computer yesterday, and after the Shefty story broke, with Shefty apparently showing a screen cap from the illegal stream, that site, when you go to it now, I'm not encouraging you to. I'm just saying this is what happens. When you go to methstreams.com, which could provide a very, 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 very different type of content, has a message up from whatever person it is that runs and organizes this website that says, I am taking a break from streaming for some time. That's how much traffic Shefty drove to messstreams.com. That had the opportunity.
Or the feds, whoever it is who cracks down.
Oh, no, for sure. Listen, for sure. I bet Shefty drove a bunch of traffic there, and the dude running it was like, nope, absolutely not. Because I have seen, again, not me, I have not seen. It has been reported to me by anonymous sources, hashtags trust me, bro. It has been reported to me by anonymous sources that the feds really do crack down on these illegal streaming sites. Really do. And that some of the bigger ones around America, the more well-known ones that made their way around the Reddit, Reddit message boards, have been shut down and commandeered by the feds. You go to that website, you get a website that has the FBI logo on it and a big disclaimer that's like, hey, idiot, don't do this. We've seized this domain. It's ours now. Of course, they usually just pop up another website and it takes a little while to disseminate it. Again, allegedly. I don't know this for a fact. But anyway, Schefter put this out. And so I do think there is the question mark, as there has been for a while now, of what percentage of...
really quick. So he's so cheap, he can't buy a service? I mean, dude makes more money than us combined like 20 times over. He can't afford it. All right.
Prime's like $100 a year, Shefty. It's like $100 a year.
Or if you buy stuff, like you buy a certain amount, you like get it free.
I don't know. I got
thing.
that Prime membership, which I'm ashamed of, to be honest with you. But at the same time, I really like it when the guy just brings the bacon to my house. You know what I mean?
There you go.
Like, I'm ashamed of giving more money to Jeff Bezos. He doesn't need it and he shouldn't have it. But also, you know, daddy wants a new TV and they'll bring it right to my house. I don't know what to tell you. I kind of sucks, but I'm convenience over principle sometimes is what I'm saying.
Schefter's fall from grace is slow, but it's
controversy number two.
Yes.
Controversy number 2. I want you to know I don't care about this at all. I really don't. I don't care. Like, I only care in that Shefty is 1,000% gonna get the discipline from the league for sure. ESPN is,
because you would think him being him that maybe and receiving memos from the NFL that he would get this stuff free.
I mean, again,
that memo thing was not.
No, I know. I'm being a smart ass.
Yeah. So why is he not getting his stuff for free?
I don't know. Here's what I do, though.
Unless the NFL operates like some companies where you work for a sports place, but you still have to pay for, all your sports subscriptions. Maybe that,
Oh, I thought I was just looking around. No reason.
The camera's over there.
So there is a fair question to circle back around to this. There is the question that is a fair question to ask of what is the amount of streams, illegal streams, that do not count towards the NFL's television ratings. And I don't think the answer is 0, but I also don't think it's 10%. And I know that because whenever I have heard friends say, I can't watch the game, I don't have Paramount Plus, as there was an NFL game on Paramount Plus last weekend. I don't have Amazon Prime, and I'm not giving Bezos no more dollars. And I'm like, well, I'm not saying I know what they are, but I've heard of these websites where you can stream these games for free. And most of them are like, I don't know about that, dude. I don't know that there is it. I don't know how to work it, yada, yada, yada.
That's the equivalent of you being a pusher. And
correct.
You wouldn't do that.
Correct.
So like, I got your fix, that type of thing.
Correct. So I don't think it's 10%. So what led to a 10% ratings drop with the National Football League? I have a theory, and I'll tell you what it is when we come back. I'm Rob, he's Lonzo. The Rob Brown Show's on your radio. It's the Fan Upstate. All right, guys, I'm going to take a quick break, mainly because I made some new away screens, and I want to see if they work. So stay right there.
So you forgot to push a loop.
Ah.
I got it now. They got to watch me enjoy my water and pour my water.
The Rob Brown Show on a Thursday a.m. Welcome in, dudes and dudettes. Great to have you. Rob, the great Lonzo with you. Be a part of the show, 844-326-3663. 10% ratings drop in the NFL for round one. Now, that is a cumulative number. Shocking to exactly no one. Obviously, the ratings, were different on a game-to-game basis. The game between the Rams and the Vikings on Monday night did pretty traditional Monday Night Football ratings. There were other games like Texans-Chargers that did not. They saw the biggest drop-offs. I wonder about this. What is the reason why?
I would think for that game, it was foregone conclusion that the Texans were going to lose. Everyone knew that the Chargers were going to beat the Texans, so some people decided, I'm not watching that game.
So I have some thoughts, and that is one of them. I have some thoughts. I want to start with this. Number one, we all claim that we want parity in the league. We all want parity in the league. We've all wanted parity in college football. That's why we went to a 12-team playoff, aside from making a metric buttload of money. We want parity. We want more teams to have more genuine opportunities to win. We want better games across a wider swath of games. We want parity. That's the claim. However, I would say that is kind of a lie. I don't think I do think it is the truth, but I also think it's not really the truth. Let's see if I can explain this to you. We want parity because parity makes it feel like the majority of us who root for average teams or below average teams, parity leads you to believe that, hey, one day maybe we'll steal one, right? Like one day we'll snag one, right? Just law of averages. Says if my football team plays 100 years, like they got to stumble into one at some point, right? My Saints stumbled into one in 09. That's not true. We were really good.
I don't know if there are still some teams who have never stumbled into a Super Bowl.
Hi, Atlanta! 28-3, baby. The point here is parity makes us feel like we have a chance. Our team, our guys have a shot. Whether or not that's true, I don't know. Do the math if you want to. I don't. I'm lazy. But one thing that is painfully and obviously true is that Americans want to watch excellence. And we have crossed the streams, so to speak, that excellence means kicking everybody's ass. We want to watch teams go out there and dominate. We always have. The most popular team at any given moment is whatever team is kicking a bunch of ass. Always has been, always will be. Zoe, here's a question for you. Over the past, let's say, 5 or 6 years, have you noticed an increase in Kansas City Chiefs fans?
I have seen more gear out there for sure.
For sure.
Lots of celebrities.
For sure.
Things like that, yeah.
Back in 2009, a young and formidable Rob Brown was finishing up his college career. And before you go, wait a minute, Rob, that was 6 years after you graduate. I understand. I was paying for it year by year as I went. So I took the slow train. All right? Get off me, dog. But in 2009, a young, handsome, formidable Rob Brown was finishing up his course of studies at my alma mater, the University of West Florida. Go Argos! And as I was finishing up my course of study, the New Orleans Saints won the Super Bowl. And wouldn't you know it, Rob Brown showed up the next day when I had fully recovered. I had purged the Super Bowl victory potions of my body. And when I went back to class, wouldn't you know it, shocks of shocks. There was Saints gear everywhere. It was everywhere. I walked into my college class, which was, what class was it? Oh, it was, I don't remember the title of the class, but it was laws of, broadcast ethics, communication ethics. Mark Lambert was the professor. He was a baseball player at Penn State back in the day. Super dude. I walked in, and there was like 4 people wearing Saints gear. And I was like, no, bleep you, bud. Get out of here. Absolutely not. I've never seen you wearing this stuff before. And now that my squad is GOAT, this is how you're going to, no, it's not going to happen.
The Chiefs thing doesn't count, though. We can't really put that in there because a certain celebrity started dating one of the players, and now Swifties everywhere.
I would agree, but I would also say it's not like you guys weren't seeing the bandwagon increase in the pre-Tay-Tay days, the before days.
True, but now it's exploded exponentially to the point where you can't measure.
But you were growing bandwagon fans pre-Tay-Tay. Now you got Tay-Tay.
To the point where I sometimes people look at me when I'm wearing Kansas City gear, and I think
they look at you and they go, big Taylor Swift guy. He's clearly in this.
They may think that, or they think bandwagon, even though I've been wearing Kansas City stuff forever.
Oh, there she is.
No, this has been broken forever, and it hasn't been replaced. So if you grab it the wrong way, I am talking about a fader, by the way. If you grab the fader the wrong way, would you consider this a button?
No, it's a slider.
No, this part.
No, that is the slider.
No, the slider's this metal piece, right?
I think it's all one thing.
Well, it should be.
It's not anymore. Lonzo couldn't get the volume up, and I looked over, and he's just holding the knob to the slider up in front of me.
Again, this has been like this for when did Cole start here? That's just maybe a coincidence.
There were some lazy narratives out there this week.
Well, that's not lazy.
All
that's
right,
detective work.
So let me get back to the thought here. The reality is, as Americans, we watch excellence. When I ask you this question, sincerely, how many bowl games did you watch? Right? That was our poll question of the day a few days ago. How many bowl games, non-playoff bowl games, did you watch? And most of you said that you watched 3 or 4. And I called you all, respectfully, dirty liars. No, you didn't. Stop lying to me. No, the hell you didn't. The TV ratings for bowl games are non-existent. No, you didn't. Okay? You watched yours. Maybe you watched the rivals. Maybe. But you didn't watch 3 or 4 or 5. You watched 1 or 2 tops. That's just what the numbers on TV say about these bowl games. How many of you watched the playoff games? Well, so far, about 14 million per game. About 14 million per game watch the playoff games. We want to watch excellence. And then when you start to break it down by, and obviously college is a little different because teams like Ohio State and Notre Dame obviously have a much larger fan base than a team like SMU. But
they both also have an abnormal amount of haters who will watch to see one or the other.
The haters
lose.
I mean, again, so let me finish the thought there, because you are correct. Just looking at the situation from the other side of the prism. We want to watch excellence. And that includes when we want to watch excellence finally get toppled, right? We want to watch excellence. We want to watch the best players / teams in the game But sometimes we want to watch them because we want to see them lose too, right? There's the Chiefs, if they get back to the Super Bowl this year. I think this is going to be, especially if they go play Detroit. If the Super Bowl is Kansas City, Detroit, I think we might have one of the most watched Super Bowls in a very long time. And the reason for that is this equation. On one hand, a lot of people are going to watch the Chiefs because they want to see a team go get the three-peat, something that's never been done in the National Football League. But you're also going to have an abnormal amount of non-Lions fans who tune into this game, not because they're like super duper over the moon pumped up about Dan Campbell and the Lions, but because what? They want to watch to see Kansas City not get the three-peat. We like to watch excellence. We also like to watch excellence be destroyed. America's a country that loves it some destruction. What was that movie? Great one. I don't know if you'll remember it off your top of your head. There was an Eddie Murphy movie from 100 years ago where he was this like enlightened, almost like monk-like character. And they started using him like some Home Shopping Network TV exec started putting him on the Home Shopping Network because he would like talk to the enlightened, wholesome aspect of people.
I know what you're talking about, but I never saw the movie. I remember that was during the time where he was putting out some really bad stuff. So
this movie, I don't remember what it was called. I got to go find it. Holy Man, I think. Maybe it was Holy Man. I want to say it was Holy Man. It doesn't matter. The point is there's a scene in that movie that has stuck with me for a very, very long time. Eddie Murphy is on the Home Shopping Network, and he's talking about communicating with the audience. And he says, if I asked you, would you rather me sit here and paint the Mona Lisa from memory, a perfect recreation from memory, the most famous painting maybe ever from memory, or take a chainsaw and destroy everything in this studio piece by piece with a chainsaw? The majority of you would pick the chainsaw destruction because we are so ingrained into being entertained by destruction. And that, for whatever reason, that's really struck me. It's been that scene, not even the whole movie, not even the name of the movie, but that scene stuck with me.
You talking about the walls or just the things on the wall?
No, he was like, I'm
talking about the chainsaw. Now I want to see a chainsaw.
Right. No, that's the point, right?
Yeah,
the point is, he said, if I told you that I was going to pick up a paintbrush and paint and recreate the Mona Lisa from memory perfectly, or destroy everything in the studio with a chainsaw, most of you are going to say the chainsaw. And I was like, oh, crap, he's right. Because but in sports, that attitude remains the same. For every Chiefs fan tuning in to see the three-peat, there's going to be everybody else fan tuning in to watch them get denied. Right? But here's the thing. If I look at the first round, did we see anywhere, did we see greatness or did we see parity? The Bills smoked the Broncos. The Ravens smoked the Steelers. The Texans smoked the Chargers. The Rams smoked the Vikings. The Eagles smoked the Packers. There was one competitive game, Commanders-Buccaneers. There was one upset, Commanders-Buccaneers. My question is, with all of those games, did we see excellence or did we see kind of what we've always had, which is we go in knowing there's like 4 teams and that's really going to be it? Because that's kind of how it feels. And I feel like that's a bit of a turnoff in a year that was really good parity-wise. I feel like it was kind of a turnoff in the playoffs. Now that we have games that we feel are going to be more competitive, will those ratings bounce back? All right, let's take a break. We're back after this on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate. Let's try this one. Okay, I'm pretty happy with the new screen so far. It's early. I got plenty of time to hate them later.
Did you know that 1 in 4 people seeking treatment for ED are under 40? So you're not alone. And even better, Hims can help. Find the ED treatment that fits your.
Have you listened to LeBron on with the Kelseys yet?
No, I have not. I saw the intro that Jason did for him, but I haven't gotten a chance to go to the.
I've heard a good portion of it.
Is it entertaining?
That's the most natural I think I've ever heard him in anything.
If prescribed, your medication is shipped to you for free. Millions of men experience ED, but Hims can help. To start your free online visit and save up to 95%, go to hims.com/joy. That's hims.com/joy for your free online visit. HIMS.com/JOY.
From the Ingalls Market Studio, the Fan.
Upstate, 97.7 FM Greenville, 97.1 FM Spark.
It's live from the Free Odyssey. Now, the Infinity Sports Network. Text or call.
Join our live stream, facebook.com/thefanupstate, the Fan Upstate on YouTube, the Rob Brown Show on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch, because I am a young, cool millennial who understands technology. Join us across our streaming platforms, the Rob Brown Show on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch, or the Fan Upstate on Facebook and YouTube. So, talking NFL football in round number 1 of the playoffs in the back pocket. Moving on to the divisional round this weekend, Saturday and Sunday. There is one game that has a spread of a field goal or less. That's Bills-Ravens, which I don't think is necessarily surprising to anybody. The Bills at the crib taking on the Ravens.
It's the most coin toss game out there.
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
Without a doubt. Eagles-Rams, although I got to tell you, the closer we get, the more solidified I'm becoming in my take that the Rams are getting the upset in this one. They are 6-point dogs. The Lions-Commanders, I'm a little less confident in, but I still think it's very much a potential upset. The Commanders, however, a 9.5-point dog on the road in Detroit Rock City. Kansas City, 8-point favorites over the Texans. That number's shocking to me, honestly. If the Commanders are 9.5 dogs to the Lions, I don't understand how the Texans are just 8-point dogs to the Chiefs.
Because how they played last week, and the fact that the Chiefs starters, much of which haven't started in what? I think it was 24 days or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, they didn't play week 18, but I think you guys ran the starters in week 17. I mean, It wasn't like, I mean, they took, I mean, it's been 2 weeks.
If I recall, they had to solidify, maybe? I can't remember.
No, I think you wrapped it up in 16. If I recall correctly, 17 was, he didn't.
It's been a long time, dude.
Yeah, he didn't directly say it, but I think Andy Reid basically said, taking a full month off is too much, right? Even as good as we are, taking a full month off is too much. And take 2 weeks off, 3 months is not going to be it.
And they also still need to work on chemistry with guys that just come back like Hollywood Brown and
for sure,
guys like that. Yeah,
for sure. So I will see. But the point here is, if we're going by what Vegas is saying by these lines, even the divisional round of the playoff doesn't have nearly the amount of parity that we've said we've asked for. Now, if the Commanders had beaten or had not beaten the Buccaneers, if this was Tampa Bay as the 3 seed, they would have gone to play Philly. I think that number probably would have been a field goal. I think that number would have been Philly at the crib -3, maybe 2.5, maybe 3.5, maybe, but it'd have been in that range. So I one of the things that I would point out here when we are discussing parity in the divisional round, of which, based on the Vegas spreads, there's not much of. I also have to point out that the Rams, back in round number 1, were dogs to the Vikings. They won by 18. The Commanders were dogs to the Bucks, only 2.5, but they won by a walk-off field goal. And so if we're talking about parity, I don't think it's as bad as it looks on the surface level. But I also look and I go, I mean, are any of these matchups, aside from Bills-Ravens, of the other three matchups, do any of them scream, this is must-see TV to you? Are there any of these matchups that you look at and go, I got to tell you, like, respectfully, because I know the Texans played well against the Chargers last week. Chiefs-Texans on the 18th, on Saturday at 4:30 in the afternoon. I got stuff happening. Like, I'm going to have it on, but, like, I got stuff to do on Saturday.
Well, even the Detroit game's on right after that, so they put both those games on Saturday.
They did, the 2-1 seeds. And again, the spreads in those games are 8 and 9.5 points, respectively. So I guess that's kind of my point, is like, we say we have great parity in the league. Is that true? Is that true? When 3 of our 4 divisional round games are touchdown or better spreads. One of them is dangerously close to being a 10-point spread. Do we really have parity in the league? I don't know, man. I will say this, even if we don't, the fact that Detroit, a lovable loser 3 years ago, is now coming in as an overwhelming favorite to go to the Super Bowl, at least it shows you can go from the dregs to the top, but it takes something special, like a Dan Campbell. All right, we'll talk more about the NFL bracket as we go. Let's get to a phone call, Lonzo. Who we got?
We have Kane, who surprisingly wants to talk about Detroit.
Shocking from Kane. Welcome to the show, big dog. Good to have you on the phone line, brother.
Hey, Rod, how's it going?
Living the dream, bud.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, I wanted to talk about, make a comment on what you said about bandwagon fans.
Mm-hmm.
I make a confession, I am one with the Detroit Lions, but it's out of necessity. I have never been an NFL guy. I love football. I've always been a Clemson fan. Never been an NFL guy. I've never been for the Panthers or anybody else. But my kids recently have gotten into sports, and so that has reignited my love for football. And I've been interested a lot more in the NFL. So last year, I was watching the playoffs and just trying to figure out who I was going to root for. I've seen the Lions story and what they've come from, and I love an underdog, beating the odds. So that's my team. And this year, that's been my team, and I think it's probably going to always be my team for the rest of my life.
I respect that, Kane. I do. And I got to tell you, like, Detroit.
It's unbelievable. Unbelievable. There's a former host on these stations who would say, you cannot do that. You absolutely cannot do that.
Listen,
Well, I'm not going to be a Panthers fan, and I'm not going to be a Saints fan.
By the way, I'm fine with
Why would I
it.
do that?
I'm fine with it. I choose the team you want to root for, especially in the NFL, because a lot of people live in areas where there is no NFL team.
Kane, you could be a Saints fan, and the reason for that is that Saints fans are traditionally very handsome.
I hear you.
Appreciate it, big dog. Good to have you on the show. Listen, first off, welcome back to the land of footballing. It's great to have you as an NFL fan.
Well, it's his first time being an NFL fan. And I wonder how many guys out there who are probably college-only guys, because that's how Kane sounds, like he was a college-only guy, and then got into NFL, and now they're hooked.
I think that, Kane, when it comes to the concept of bandwagoning, I would go with this. Nobody, okay, rephrase that. Most people don't enjoy inflicting pain upon themselves.
I'm glad you said most people.
Yeah. Some people very do. In various aspects, locations, and rooms of their home, some people do like self-inflicted pain.
Right.
Makes them feel alive.
All right. You sound like you know about this, so you probably should move on.
I mean, I know people. I know people. I know people.
I hope you don't. I hope that's just a thing on TV and it's not really true.
No, it's absolutely true. There are, for some people, the minutia of day to day doesn't give them anything. It doesn't give them emotion. And the only way to feel, this is the entire emo movement. Like, this is where Fall Out Boy comes from. Some people like to hurt. Just to have Johnny Cash very famously saying, I hurt myself today to see if I still feel, right? That's what that is. That's picking the Panthers to be a fan of. I don't think it's going to be that way for very long. Let me be clear. I have been the only Carolina Panther optimist on this station for like 2 years running now. All right. But the point is, if you were just coming back to being an NFL fan, jumping on board and picking the Panthers would be painful. Jumping on board and picking the Saints as a Saints fan would be dumb. Unless you're not really doing it because you love football. You're doing it for the social element. In which case, be a Bills fan or be a Saints fan. Ain't no party like a Bills Mafia or a Who Dat Nation party. There's just not.
But, if you're jumping on right now in the Bills party, it's a 1 week party.
I don't know about that.
Because they're gone after Sunday.
I don't know about that. They are dogs in this game at the crib. We'll see. I actually am picking Baltimore in this game, but we'll circle back around to that. If you're going to jump on board, you're going to jump on board and pick a team that is at the top of the game. And for the last couple of years, Detroit has been very threatening to get there, and it looks like this year they have, barring all of the injuries to the defensive side of the football. But what I'm saying here is there is positive and negative for the NFL. The positive here is that this is a Lions team that is not tragically far removed from turning in 0-16 seasons. This is a Detroit Lions team that is not far removed from Calvin Johnson going, yo, bleep this sucks. I'm just retiring. I don't even like football anymore because of Detroit. And now they hit on the combination. They hit on Dan Campbell. He assembled an excellent group of coordinators and coaches. And now the Lions are 9.5-point favorites to reach the NFC Conference Championship. So I guess the question here for me is, where do we as fans stand in our breakdown of where the NFL is today? Because on one hand, it feels like there may have not, there hasn't been this much parity in the league in a long time. On the other hand, it doesn't really play out in the bracket, or at least it doesn't feel like that, right? Like in the AFC side, it feels like there's 3 teams that could legitimately go to the Super Bowl. The Chiefs, the Bills, the Ravens, the 1, 2, and 3 seeds. On the NFC side, it feels like there's, again, I went with the dark horse pick in the Washington Commanders before. I think the LA Rams, I honestly think your NFC title game could very well be a 4-6 matchup of the Commanders and the Rams. But we'll address that with some official picks later on in the show. To me, when I look at this, I'm looking at this and thinking there's 3 teams in the AFC. Realistically speaking, there's like one favorite over in the NFC, and that's the Lions. I don't think that there's no parity in the league. But I also think maybe it's overhyped a little bit. It kind of feels like, and this is what Lonzo said earlier, whether it was caused by the media, whether it's true that the fans genuinely feel this way, however it plays out, to me, it kind of feels as if Detroit, Kansas City feels like an inevitability. I don't think it is, because I think the Bills and the Ravens are both good enough to beat Kansas City. Not that they will, just that they could. But it's been painted as Chiefs-Lions is an inevitability. And I wonder, great one, how many people tuned out because they go, it's like an NBA game. I just need to watch the last 3 minutes of the game. I don't need to watch 3.5 quarters. I just needed to, because every NBA game may be a blowout in the start of the third quarter, but then all of a sudden it's a 2-point game with 2 minutes left. And the playoffs, for most people, not for me, the playoffs for most people It kind of feels like they think the inevitability is it's Chiefs-Lions and everybody else is just playing for, for some notoriety. And I wonder if that has anything to do with a 10% drop in the first round ratings of the National Football League. Where do you stand? Do you think there is as much parity in the league as ever before, a similar amount, or is the whole parity narrative overblown as a selling point by the league?
I just think the drop for that particular week is because everyone believed that how it was going to go went. I mean, the only real surprise was the Texans beating the Chargers. But when you look and go, yeah, I got stuff to do, but
they're going to win. Vikings was a surprise to people.
They're going to win. No,
I mean, not to people who listen to this show because I told you it was going to happen.
I don't think it was a surprise. No.
Okay. I don't know, man. I don't know. I do think the first round was, by and large, not super attractive.
The true test will be Sunday, Buffalo versus Baltimore.
I mean, that is the one good game. There's 4 games this weekend. I honestly think 3 of them are going to be very good. I think the Chiefs are going to blow the Texans up. I think the Commanders are going to make it more interesting with the Lions than most of you think. I think the Rams are going to beat the Eagles. And Bills-Ravens, obviously, as a one-point contest is very interesting. I wonder if the ratings reflect that. We'll see. We'll see. And does anybody care? I don't even know if anybody cares about it. Let's take a break. You know what I do know people care about? The top 3 sports stories going on today. That's what the Water Killer cheat sheet is for. We'll do that at 7 o'clock. Lulu Kesin talks Gamecock Athletics at 8. Rashad Beard talks Panthers at 8:40. We got Fight Club at 9 a.m. Hatin Ass Mario at 9:20. All of that after Lonzo Shefties you with his sports flash.
What? Show illegal viewing of NFL games? No, I will not do that. The South Carolina Gamecocks dropped a close contest to Vanderbilt on the road, 66-63. The Gamecocks shot over 42% from the floor and allowed Vanderbilt to shoot 41%. But with 11 more attempts and 5 more three-point attempts, the Gamecocks turned the ball over 25 times. You do that, you're probably not going to win. The Charlotte Hornets are making trades. The Hornets sent 7-footer Nick Richards and a second-rounder pick to the Phoenix Suns for forward Josh Okogie and 3 second-round picks, and sent a 2025 second-rounder to Phoenix in return for 3 second-round picks, 1 in 2026 and 2 in 2031. It's a lot of transactions there. Tune in this Saturday at 4:30 as the Furman Paladins take on the Chattanooga Mocs. Furman versus Chattanooga right here on your home Furman Paladins basketball. Thus, here is the Fan upstate. It's cool, Kane. Don't let it be the last time. That's what I asked, Trey. I also asked, what's the overall viewership right now for things on TV, period? Because if it's down overall, then it's just a reflection of viewership, period.
Let's go, Kane. Don't make it your last, brother.
Bad production hurts my soul.
You mean you don't appreciate that commercial being recorded in a bathroom stall?
Or somewhere. I mean, you know. QC, first break.
The Rob Brown Show back on your radio. It's the Fan Upstate. Our numero dos gets underway now. Welcome in, dudes and dudettes. Rob Brown, the great one, Lonzo with you here on a Thursday morning. Big show lined up today. We got Lulu Kesin at 8 o'clock to talk Gamecock athletics. We got Rashad Beard set to talk about the Carolina Panthers at 8:40. 9 o'clock, Fight Club with the great one, Lonzo, your home for combat sports in the upstate. And at 9:20, Hatin Ass Mario going to join the show to break down the NFL's divisional round with us. That's where we're going. That's where we're headed. But now we are here, 7:01 in the morning. You got 58 minutes and 32 seconds to get on in to work, to sit down at the computer, to type in that obnoxiously, unnecessarily long password, to get into that email, to just fire back at all those passive-aggressive ones you got last night and ignored. And then you're going to stand up. You're going to walk down that long hallway. You're going to duck into the break room. You're going to stand around the water cooler and talk sports with your coworkers. And if you're going to do that, you're going to need this.
Are you ready for the playbook of the peculiar, the almanac of the absurd, and the encyclopedia of the extraordinary? Well, you better be, because we're diving headfirst into the 3 top stories that will have your coworkers saying, "These are going to hurt you, sir." Take their first bathroom break.
No.
Here we go.
Welcome to the water cooler cheat sheet on the Fan Upstate.
It's the water cooler cheat sheet, the top 3 sports stories you need to know before you get to the office and start talking sports. This Love Upstate Thursday AM. Let us dive right in with item number 1. The 2025 College Football Hall of Fame class has officially been officialized. It was announced yesterday that you are going to end up having Nick Saban in. Now, we knew that from last week. They announced that on College Game Day. We also now know that Urban Meyer is going in, Michael Vick is going in, and Michael Strahan are going in. Michael Strahan, the only member on this list who has threatened to kick my ass. He also offered it, or not offered, he also bought me a beer afterwards because he realized I know ball. But Michael Strahan, only guy that offered to kick my ass in public.
Or he's worried that you would go public with his treatment of you and,
No, I think he was worried he was going to catch these hands is what
is
I think.
Is that what it was?
I think he was worried he was going to get that smoke. Is why he looked at me and he was like, oh, never mind. My bad, dog. I didn't see you before I started throwing it around a little bit. And I said, that's right, Michael Strahan. Buy me a beer. Saban retired last year as the NCAA's active leader in wins with 292, 71, and 1 over 28 seasons at Toledo, Michigan State, LSU, and Alabama. His 7 national championships, 1 at LSU, 6 at Alabama, is the most by an FBS coach. Urban Meyer goes in with a record of 187 and 32, 3 natties over 17 seasons at Bowling Green, Utah, Florida, and Ohio State. He won 22 of 24 games at Utah before he took over at Florida, where he won national titles in 06 and 08, moved to Ohio State in 2012, those family issues and whatnot, and won his 3rd national championship in 2014, went 83 and 9 over 7 seasons in Columbus. Michael Vick led the Hokies to a 22 and 2 record in the 1999 national championship game, where he ended up losing to Florida State, went on to have a 13-year career in the NFL. Michael Strahan played for Texas Southern from 1989 to 1992, recorded 41.5 sacks in 4 seasons before he went on to play 15 for the New York Giants and was inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame in 2014. Terry Henratty, 24-4-2 as a quarterback at Notre Dame back in the late 60s, was also selected, helped the 66 team to a share of the national championship, and joins teammates Jim Lynch, Alan Page, and Joe Theismann in the Hall of Fame, amongst other picks that have been officialized. The 2012 Doak Walker Award for nation's best running back went to Wisconsin's Monty Ball. The year before that, he had tied Barry Sanders' NCAA record of 39 touchdowns in a single season, finished his career with 5,140 rushing yards, averaging 104.9 yards per game and 77 rushing touchdowns. Monty Ball is one of those players, though, like you've seen the meme online about how dudes can just sit around and name random football players, and they don't even have to talk. They just have to say the name, and everybody has a great time. Monty Ball's one of those cats. Like, I could sit here and somebody goes Monty Ball, and I'd be like, oh, yeah. That dude was a hoss, man. He was an absolute dog. Monty Ball's one of those guys that probably never gets mentioned in the conversations of the most enjoyable players to watch. But that dude was a battering ram with cleats on.
So I remember the name, but I don't remember watching him play.
Oh, Monty Ball was a hoss.
It doesn't mean I didn't. I just don't remember watching.
That was a long time ago. It's 12 years ago. I mean, you were what, 22 at that point?
That's funny.
Greg Carr of Auburn is in. Blake Elliott of St. John's. Greg Esslinger of Minnesota. Graham Harrell's another one of those guys. It's like, damn. It's the last time I heard Graham Harrell's name. John Henderson of Tennessee. Michael Huff of Texas. Jim Kleinsasser of North Dakota. Alex Mack of California. Terrence Metcalf of Mississippi. Oregon's Haloti Ngata. That's another one of these guys.
It's Haloti Ngata.
Whatever.
You know.
I believe I've heard him on the broadcast referred to as Ngata, but okay. Steve Slayton of West Virginia, Darren Smith of Miami, Dennis Thurman of SoCal, and Ryan Yarbrough of Wyoming are also in the coaching category alongside Nick Saban. Larry Blakeney of Troy. I used to interview Larry Blakeney back when he was at Troy way back in the day. Larry Corver of Northwestern College. Blakeney guided the Trojans from D2 to the FBS back in 91, stayed there till 2014, and remains the Sun Belt Conference's all-time wins leader with a 178, 113, and 1 record. 2025 class inducted coming up in December of this year at an awards dinner in Las Vegas. The Hall of Fame in Atlanta is where they shall be memorialized forever. Have you gotten over there yet? I am ashamed to say I'm this close to Atlanta, and I have not gone to the College Football Hall of Fame yet.
I haven't been to Atlanta in a couple of decades.
I really like Atlanta.
So I went to Six Flags, which is past Atlanta, and I went to see the Royal Rumble like a long, long time ago. But because of the amount of traffic and all that kind of stuff, I know you've been to a Braves game. It's just I don't really have any reason to go over there. I would love to go there Monday, but
I really like downtown Atlanta. It is absolutely trafficy. You got to build that into the plan. I really like downtown Atlanta. I'm embarrassed. And here's the thing: when we went over there for the bachelor party, we were like a minute and a half long walk away from the College Football Hall of Fame, and we didn't go. Now, in fairness, we gave ourselves some pretty good reasons not to go. But we didn't go. I got to get over there. Maybe that might be a summertime trip. I might have to pop over there on a Sunday afternoon this summer. We'll see. Item number 2. Sorry, what were you going to say?
Yeah,
I threw that right at you.
It's all right.
Vanderbilt was up by a couple, but in trouble after AJ Hoggard turned the ball over and committed a flagrant foul against South Carolina, gave the Gamecocks 2 shots in the ball last night. Colin Murray Boyles made both free throws. The game was tied up, but then Vanderbilt's Devin McLaughlin came through when Vandy needed him the most last night. First, blocked a Murray Boyles shot, forcing a shot clock violation on the Gamecocks. On the Commodores' ensuing possession, he grabbed the offensive rebound on Hoggard's missed jumper, got the putback, drew the foul, made the free throw, and secured a 66-63 win with 0.6 seconds left at Memorial Gymnasium. The South Carolina Gamecocks fall on the road at Vanderbilt. McLaughlin said, quote, "That's just how we drew it up." For the Gamecocks, Colin Murray Boyles once again up towards the top of the score sheet when it was all said and done. Had a couple of opportunities down the stretch to knock down a couple of clutch jumpers. It just did not go the Gamecocks' way. Colin Murray Boyles had 14 on 6 of 10 from the floor, pulled down 9 boards as well. Morris Ugosu had 20 points on 6 of 8 from the floor, was 3 of 4 from 3, obviously pressed into service due to some of the injuries for the Gamecocks. At this point in the season, I'll say this. The team has obviously been banged up in a couple of different positions and have lost some guys for extended periods of time. This team is just not what last year's team was for Lamont Paris. It's a fine team. You're 10-7, but you're 0-4 in conference. This year, to me, is about getting right. It's just you had a good run with GG. You've got some dogs down there like Nick Pringle, but when Pringle here's the other part, and this is where I am going to give Lamont Paris a little pushback. How do I have a team that lifts 45 field goal attempts and Nick Pringle has 2 of them? That ain't it. Nick Pringle, I'm not going to say won you that Clemson game, that you got the upset of the Tigers at home, but he did. How do I have a Gamecock team that has 45 free throws? By the way, a Gamecock team missing some starters that has 45 field goals and Nick Pringle has 2 of them. I said 2 weeks ago, I'm like, this team could be interesting when they get fully healthy. If they haven't then taken themselves out of it at that point, when they get healthy, they could be kind of interesting. But what else did I say? Got to play inside out. Got to play inside out. Got to play from the big man out to the wing, not from the wing into the big man. Go to Nick Pringle. Let him do his thing. He has, in 23 minutes last night, he has 2 field goal attempts. 2 field goal attempts. That's just not it. South Carolina shot just over 42%, held Vanderbilt to just at 41%. The problem is in 2 numbers. Number 1, South Carolina had 45 field goal attempts. Vandy had 56. More shots on more possessions equals more buckets. But it was the big number that blew me off the page. South Carolina forced 12 turnovers from the Vanderbilt Commodores and gave the ball away 25 times. 25 times. You lost by 3. You gave it away 25 times. It's reckless basketball. It is a team that went, we're dinged up. We're injured. We can't get Pringle going, so we're just going to have to press. We're going to have to play above our level, and you were reckless with the basketball.
I saw less turnovers than that in a 6-year-old basketball game last night.
25 turnovers that's a nasty number, dude. That's a nasty number. That's an unacceptable number, is what it is. Like, jokes aside, that's an unacceptable number of turnovers for a D1 program. Let's get to item number 3. I want to talk about this later on in the show because I do find this interesting. Since January of last year, the Charlotte Hornets have now accumulated 2 first-round picks and 8 second-round picks via trade. They did 2 more yesterday. They traded center Nick Richards and a second-round draft pick to the Suns for forward Josh Okogie and 3 second-round picks. So they effectively pick up a developmental forward and 2 more second-round picks. They also sent a 2025 second-rounder out to Phoenix, which traded a 2026 Nuggets second-rounder and 2 2031 second-rounders to Charlotte. The Suns rank last in the NBA in points from their starting center, so they get a 7-footer who's averaging 9 and 7.5 boards across 21 games, 5 of them with the Hornets so far. 5 seasons with the Hornets so far. Richards has been pretty good for Charlotte. So they send him out there to Phoenix, who desperately needs it. They get a few second-round picks out of the deal. The Hornets have accumulated, as we mentioned, 2 first-rounders and 8 second-rounders, most of which are next year, a few spread out now all the way till 2031. This team, the Charlotte Hornets, this team has fully embraced mortgaging now, or grabbing picks to play for the future at the cost of being really bad right now, right? Like, whatever's the opposite of mortgaging the future for now, whatever investing in the future by stinking right now is all this comes down to. Here's the thing. I don't really hate it, okay? I don't really hate it. The roster you've built right now is a number of pieces away from being competitive. And Nick Richards is a productive, good big man on the inside, but he's not a dude that's carrying you, right? Like, he's not going to be the centerpiece, the focal piece. So you end up getting effectively 2 more first-rounders out of the deal for a guy who is on a contract that wasn't going to be renewed anyway. I think it's a good trade. I am here for the long-haul rebuild of the Charlotte Hornets. Lonzo, remind me, what year is it right now?
It's 2025. Okay,
that's what I thought. You're trading for second-round picks in 2031? 2031. I'm not yet 40. When this pick comes to fruition, I'll be halfway through my 40s. I'm good with the concept of a long-term rebuild.
Talk about how old I'll be then.
Lonzo will likely be having to do like those hand bike things at that point.
Well, I'll be retirement age, so I mean, or close to it.
This is a long bleeping concept for the Charlotte Hornets, and I don't have an issue with the rebuild. But if I am pushing off guys now for 2 second-round picks in 2031, am I, as a Hornets fan, am I expected to be on team rebuild until 2033? Is that when you're telling me the next time you're going to be good is?
Have they been rebuilding since they got the name back, or even before that?
I mean, yeah, I would say so. I don't know, man. This is really interesting. This is really interesting in that it is one thing to embrace the rebuild. I'm a Saints fan. I have to embrace the rebuild now. We ain't doing a damn thing else but rebuilding for like the next couple years. But man, embracing a rebuild that the team is basically telling you is going to take into the mid-2030s. Why am I paying any attention? And as a media dude, right? Like, Why am I going to pay any attention to this team? Why am I going to pay any attention to a team that's making picks? And again, I get it. You can only get what you can get for a guy. But why am I going to pay attention to a team that just committed to a rebuild that they have now said is effectively lasting till 2032? It just feels like it's not worth my time, of which I don't have a lot left. Because I'm turning... Okay. Take a break. Come back here in just a minute. Let's get some college football in here. Start looking towards the Natty on Monday. The Rob Brown Show. Rob, Lonzo, and you. It's the Fan Upstate.
You see.
All right, guys. Quick break. Coming right back. Stay right there for me. Thank you very much. Ohio State, Notre Dame, 7:30 p.m. Monday night. we begin 60 minutes of football action to determine the 2024-25 college football national champions.
What time do you think actual kickoff will be?
Like 8:45. No, I don't think so. They're starting the coverage, I believe, around 6. So I would bet the kickoff is probably around 7:45.
If it is, there's a chance that I could watch the entire thing before I go into it.
If they, all right. Let's
and
say
we also don't work Monday, which means I will not have gotten up at.
True, but you will have to on Tuesday. So my question is, what is the latest they could start this game that you would guarantee me you're watching to the final whistle to find out if your team's natties?
Probably right now. I mean, the way it is right now. I mean, if they go, if kickoffs are right around 8, man, it's still.
Assuming with an extended halftime, which I'm assuming there will be, we'll have a halftime show or whatever. Assuming an extended halftime, I suspect this game is roughly 3 hours, 15 minutes. Is like 10:30 your cutoff? Like if the game ends after 10:30, I'll see the finish in the morning?
Yeah, because if I go beyond 10:30 and 10:30 is pushing it for me, I probably don't make it through the show. And it's just physically and other problems where I'm not sleeping well. I need a certain amount of hours to hopefully squeeze in enough to survive the next day. And it's not a matter of want to, because when I was younger, I could have did it. I mean, I talked about a Royal Rumble earlier. We went to Atlanta, came back 2 hours later, was doing, I was running the morning show. I mean, so yeah, I mean, I could do it. Anyway.
I mean, my team's not even in this. I'm watching it. I don't care if they started at 11 o'clock. All right. I got to watch it. I was just curious as to where Lonzo would land on this. All right. Are
you going to call me lesser of a fan
not at all.
Because of it?
Not at all. Because I know
some people would.
Because I know when I mean, am I going to call you that? No. Do I believe it? I don't know. Maybe a little.
You do. That's
maybe
fine.
A little.
That's fine.
Maybe a little.
You know, different people. And I guarantee you my wife will be staying up and watching the entire thing. And
she just don't have to get up at 3:15 in the morning.
Right. And probably more than likely, I should just watch the whole thing, because if she stays up, she can't be quiet if there's a touchdown or something. Even though she's on the other side of the house, I will hear it.
Oh man, I don't know. I'm in a.
I want to stay up for the entire thing, and it's really going to depend on what time kickoff is. If both teams decide to run the ball a lot, that clock's going to go a lot faster. I mean, a lot of things factor in.
I know that I'm staying up to watch this whole game. And if it goes till 11 p.m., 10:30, 11 p.m., I'm going to hate myself the next day.
Also, if it's one-sided either way going into the fourth quarter, I mean,
I'm watching it anyway because we've watched 21-point leads evaporate, right? I mean, there was a story famously of Bill Belichick talking about how Arthur Smith was on the sideline of that 28-3 Super Bowl dancing around like he just won the lottery. And then, of course, the Patriots came back and erased the 25-point deficit in the second half to win the game. I'm watching till the end, no matter what. All of that being said, I actually think this is going to be a one-sided game. I think Ohio State dog walks Notre Dame. I don't think it's going to be close. I think you're looking at a 10-point game. I think that spread, I'm taking Ohio State to cover the 8 points, and I feel pretty good about it. And I feel pretty good about it for a couple of reasons. Number one, we have talked about the fact that Ohio State has kind of had a resurgence of Will Howard. I have called it repeatedly the Will Howard You America tour, because everybody wrote this cat off. Everybody wrote this cat off. And Will Howard has been doing nothing but being a dog in these playoffs. 289 yards and a touch in the last game. But I think what I really appreciate is that Notre Dame, even with that being Ohio State, even with that being the case, even with Will Howard having been a dog in these last couple of games, I think what I appreciate the most is that it's not like Ohio State has gotten away from their identity, right? I go back to that Tennessee game, a 42-17 walk-off game in which Will Howard had 311 yards and a pair of touchdowns. Ohio State ran the ball 33 times in that game. I go back to the Buckeyes' 41-21 win over consensus number 1 Oregon. Will Howard had 319 yards and 3 touchdowns. Ohio State ran the ball 31 times in that game. And then I go back to the 28-14 win over Texas. Now, they did run the ball fewer times in this game. Will Howard threw it 33 times. In Tennessee, in the game against Tennessee, Howard threw the ball 29 times. Against Oregon, he threw the ball 26 times. And against Texas, he threw it 33 times. Ohio State ran the ball just 24 times in this game.
Also, the Texas game was a much tighter game going into the fourth quarter.
Correct.
They were only up by a touchdown, I think, in the fourth until,
till they weren't.
Until the strip sack for a touchdown. It's been replayed probably 10,000 times.
Correct. And it's been replayed because Steve Sarkisian coached them out of a 21-21 game.
Mashup between Jack Sawyer and Captain Jack Sparrow. You should watch it. It's hilarious.
I'm already in. I like this because Ohio State has not lost their identity. They are still going to run the ball. You're going to see Judkins get 10 carries. You're going to see Henderson get 10 carries. You know they're going to design 3 to 5 carries for Will Howard. He's going to have another 3 to 4 scrambles. He's going to end up with 7-8 carries. That has been the way that the Buckeyes have run the game. Henderson had 10. Judkins had 10 against Tennessee. In the Oregon game, Henderson had 8. Judkins had 17 in that game. Will Howard had 5. They've kind of been in that territory. Against Texas, Henderson had 6, Judkins had 9, Howard had 7. So he had a couple of extra carries to make up for the couple they lost out of Henderson. I will say this is interesting to me. In these games, Judkins has had consistently more carries for way less yards than TreVeyon Henderson. And I'm kind of working to figure that one out.
Well, Henderson got, I think you got to believe he got benched for a while in the last game because, he punched a guy in the face, then he disappeared for a while. Then when he got back in, he had that long run for a touchdown. But still, I mean, he was getting punished a little bit for that.
Against Tennessee, they both had 10 carries. Henderson had 80 yards. Judkins had 34. Against Oregon, Henderson had 8 carries. Judkins had 17. On 8 carries, Henderson had 94 yards. Judkins had 85 on 9 more carries.
Also, if you watch the games, it seems like they're starting out with Judkins, and Judkins is getting all those carries. He's battering the defensive line for the other team, and then they bring in TreVeyon Henderson, who's fresh, going up against a defensive line that's already been beaten up a little.
So, and there is an element of change of pace between these two guys, right? They're not crazy different. Judkins goes 6 foot 219. TreVeyon Henderson goes 5'10", 208. So, I mean, you do definitely have the 10-pound heavier power back in Quinshon Judkins, the change of pace back in TreVeyon Henderson. And I do think there is an element of how you're running these guys. Judkins a guy that you're pushing up off the guards. Henderson's a guy you're working some more end around stuff. You're split out wide stuff, etc. But all of that being said, the Buckeyes, regardless of where the numbers are going and who the carries are going to, they've done a pretty good job of kind of remaining true to the identity. And again, we've talked about this. One of the reasons I like Ohio State is that it seems to me there has been an awakening in Chip Kelly as a play caller. He looks a lot more UCLA, Oregon Chip Kelly than he did earlier in the year, specifically, again, that Michigan game. And wherever that's coming from, Lonzo believes to some degree that Ryan Day has either taken over or become more involved in the play calling. I don't agree, and I don't agree for one reason. The offense that's being run right now looks very much more Oregon UCLA than Ohio State has in a very long time.
Dude, I read you that article earlier, like in the week, where he said he's doing more. So he's definitely doing more.
Again, I'm not saying he's not doing more. I'm saying I don't think he's necessarily at the controls.
I believe that counts because I halfway. That's the first one of the week. It's not bad for either one of us. I believe that without Ryan Day getting more involved in the play calling, Ohio State would not be in this national championship game.
Maybe so, but I also, to some degree, believe that Chip Kelly's not a dumb person. Chip Kelly watched the Michigan game again, just like we all did, and figured it out. Oh, if I just slam running backs into the teeth of a front seven like Michigan's, I'm going to lose. And Michigan's front seven was not as good as Tennessee's. I'd argue Michigan defensively, which was a pretty good team, on par with Oregon this year. I think he kind of knew what was coming there, and I got to give some credit to that. I like this Ohio State offense's ability to stay balanced, to stay consistent, but to have some wrinkles in there that they're having a hard time catching up with. All right, when we come back, let's talk about the other side of the ball. Let's talk about Riley Leonard and the Notre Dame Fighting Irish offense and see how they stack up against the Ohio State defense. That's next on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate. The Rod Brown Show carries on. Rod, Lonzo, and you. Be a part of the show, 844-326-3663. You can text that number as well, 844-326-3663. Text that number. Let us know your thoughts on everything we are talking about so far this morning. We have talked quite a bit of NFL so far today, getting set up for the divisional round. We'll circle back around to that. I did get a DM during the break. Unfortunately, Rashad Beard has to push to tomorrow, so no Rashad today. We do have Lulu Kesin coming up here in the next segment at 8 o'clock straight up. We have Fight Club at 9 o'clock. Ordinarily at 9:20, got to bump it up to 9 o'clock today because Hatin Ass Mario had an issue with scheduling. He will join us at 9:20 to break down the NFL's divisional round. But we are talking this AM. We are talking college football's national championship game. If you follow these sorts of things, ESPN's analytics give Ohio State a 55% chance of winning this game. Notre Dame a 45% chance of winning this game. Where does that number come from? That number comes from Riley Leonard. That to me is the equation. It is Ohio State's defensive front seven against Riley Leonard. We had SiriusXM college football overtime host Denton Day on yesterday. I ran by my theory by him, and he agreed with that theory. The theory is this is going to be, can Ohio State set the edge? Can Ohio State
is he
set
the
the
best
edge?
quarterback they've faced in the playoff?
Riley Leonard?
Yeah.
I mean, Dylan Gabriel was a Heisman finalist, so I would say no. I will say this.
Quinn Ewers also? I mean,
I'm not a Quinn Ewers guy.
Okay.
By the way, he declared for the draft yesterday. Second round pick for me. Developmental pick for me. Like Quinn Ewers has got a noodle arm.
I heard some people say that he's the number 3 quarterback right now coming out.
He's going to be, but I think that says more about the QB class than it does about Quinn Ewers, right? There are years being the third best quarterback overall is an accomplishment. And then there are years like this one where being the third best quarterback is really because there's only a couple of quarterbacks. I'm not a big Quinn Ewers guy. I think he's a bit noodle army. I think he can be panicked early. I think that part of the reason you guys knocked off Texas was because there were some spots where Quinn Ewers was under pressure off the edge and he freaked out a little bit. He panicked. I also think that there is a reason that Texas decided with the game on the line to kind of lean on Weissner and Blue a little bit, the two running backs. And I think it's because in those big spots, they didn't trust. And by the way, this does lead to questions about Arch Manning. Is he really the future? And I think it's fair to ask, is Arch Manning really the future? Or do we put this on Steve Sarkisian even more than we did before? Because there is some concept of, and this has been a conversation that's gone on around Clemson football for some time, about loyalty, right? About loyalty. You stay loyal to your guy no matter what. Were there spots where Arch Manning maybe would have, including the Ohio State game, where Arch Manning, who I think is much more Riley Leonard than Quinn Ewers is there a spot where it would have made sense to make the switch to Arch Manning and give yourself a little more versatility and adaptability? Guy with a little less experience, but a guy that can get outside of the pocket, can move with the football like Riley Leonard can a little bit. I will say that this is a quarterback in Ohio State that I think is much more dangerous as an up-the-gut runner than Dylan Gabriel. Gabriel's a guy that if he can get a little space, he's a little more shifty. Riley Leonard's not a guy that's going to get 4 yards up the football field and hit the B button and drop a stutter step spin move on you that's going to, knock a defender's jockstrap off. Riley Leonard's the type of dude that's going to see a hole in the offensive line, recognize he's got nobody down the field. He's going to get through that gap. He's going to take the ball 4, 5, 6 yards up. He might run into contact. He might slide. But he's a guy who just wants to get his 4 or 5 yards on the ground, and that's it. He's not going to try to extend plays after that. But I do think he is, to me, A dude that has a little bit better court vision, if you will. He sees the pass rush, I think, better than Dillon Gabriel, and he responds to it with an up-the-gut run. He's I don't want to say he's a smarter runner than Dillon Gabriel. I think he just knows what his physical limitations are. He's quick. He's strong. He's a big, strong boy. But he also understands I'm not a guy that's going to get up the field, hit the stutter step, and juke a dude into the next week. I'm a dude that's going to get up the field, recognize where the end of the run is, get to it, go down. Or recognize, all right, I got one guy coming up. I got a safety coming up on me. I'm going to run through the contact on this one, pick up 2-3 more. You have to stop him, however, from getting the edge. You have to create a world in which you make sure that Riley Leonard has two options. Stand in the pocket and deliver the football, or run it between the guards. If I run it between the guards, I think Ohio State's got enough talent at the linebacker position to step up to the first level, to absorb the contact of Riley Leonard, and to limit him to, I think you got to keep Riley Leonard under 2 yards, a non-sack carry, right? Any runs that are not sacks from Riley Leonard, I think you have to limit him to 2 yards or fewer per run. If you let him start to trickle up to 3.5, 4 yards a carry, now all of a sudden in those spots, second and third downs are going to start becoming shorter. Ohio State's got to get Notre Dame playing behind the sticks. Why? Because what I want to do, I want to turn Riley Leonard into a pure passer, and I want to create a world where Riley Leonard and the Notre Dame Fighting Irish are playing behind the sticks so that they cannot lean on Jeremiah Love, who is, I don't know that I would say he's the best running back you guys have played so far. Remember, he's a little dinged up, right? He's YOLOing his way through these playoffs on a busted wheel right now. I don't think he's the best running back you faced. I do think he's a very good running back. He's no worse than the second or third best one you faced. So what I need is to remove him from the game, and I need to create a world where Riley Leonard feels like he has to be Drew Brees, not Josh Allen. I need to create a world where Riley Leonard feels like he needs to be a pure pocket passing quarterback, not because that's his best game, but because he's playing from behind. The offense is regularly playing behind the sticks. Lonzo, I need to see a bunch of 3rd and 10s, 3rd and 9s. I can't be looking at 3rd and 2, 3rd and 3. 3rd and 2, 3rd and 3, Riley Leonard being Riley Leonard puts you at a disadvantage. 3rd and 9, I feel a lot better. Dillon Gabriel's a guy on 39 that you go, if you get everything right and he sneaks out, he can get you 9. He can make a tackler or two miss and get 9. I don't feel that way about Riley Leonard. He's going to get you 4. But if he's looking at a 2nd and 10, if he's looking at a 3rd and 9, a 3rd and 8, Riley Leonard's legs aren't a big problem if it is 3rd and 9. Because he can get you 4th and 6. He can get you 4th and 5. But he doesn't strike me as a guy that if you keep getting him into 3rd and long situations, he's a scary player like a Dillon Gabriel is. You know, like there are college quarterbacks. Kevin Jennings is one of these quarterbacks. Drew Aller's not one of these quarterbacks. It's part of the reason Penn State's at home on Monday night. Because they kept getting behind the sticks when the defense pulled up, and Aller's not a guy that's sprinting out and getting you those yards. Neither is Riley Leonard. Riley Leonard can consistently be trusted to pick up 4 or 5 or 3-4 yards on a carry. Not a guy that I'm going to consistently trust to go get me 6-7 yards a carry. And if that's the case, then if I can put you behind the sticks more often than I don't, I got a good shot at winning this football game. I got a real good shot at winning this football game. In fact, out of curiosity, let's look at Riley Leonard in the games played so far. Take it back to that game against the Indiana Hoosiers.
I've noticed you stopped playing the.
And it's not as much fun when they're not playing anymore.
Okay. All right.
Against the Hoosiers, Riley Leonard averaged 2.7 yards per carry. Ran it back against Georgia, 23-10. The Irish win that football game. In that game, as my box score loads up, Riley Leonard ran the ball 14 times for 80 yards, an average of 5.7 yards per carry. You want to guess why Notre Dame won that football game as comfortably as they did? Because Georgia let Riley Leonard get over that 3.5 yards per carry mark. We can take it back to the semifinal game against Penn State. Notre Dame wins a close game, a walk-off field goal set up by the Drew Aller pick on the last stretch. Riley Leonard in that game, Lonzo, ran the ball 18 carries for 35 times, 1.9 yards per carry, and a touchdown. That's why that game was close. Effectively, it comes down to this. If you let Riley Leonard average 3 or more carries per game, Notre Dame's winning pretty comfortably. If you keep him to 2.5 yards or fewer per rush, you win that game. To me, if I got to lock down a key to the game, it's Ohio State keeping Riley Leonard at 2.5 rushing yards or fewer. Do not let him be the reason that they are playing in second and shorts. Do not let him be the reason that third downs are less than 3 yards, and now he's a threat to get them. Now you got to, because here's the thought. If it's 3rd and 9, and I'm not worried about Riley Leonard picking up 9 yards on a run, what does that allow me to do? Hey, that guy that's been spying on Riley Leonard, which I believe will be a feature of the Ohio State defense on Monday night, that guy that's spying on Riley Leonard, what can he do? Drop off into coverage. Cover that tight end up. Play middle thirds. I can now put an extra defender back knowing that if Riley Leonard takes off, even without a spy, I can get to him before he gets 9. But if it's 3rd and 2 and you got to have a stop, now what? Now I got to have a dedicated Riley Leonard run preventer. And if I have that guy, what does that mean? That means I got one less coverage guy to drop. That means I got to, instead of playing thirds across the middle of the field or quarters across the middle of the field, now I got to play a double wide. Now I got to play 2 backers with 1 walked up. Or now I got to drop from having a cover 2 with 4 underneath rushing 5. Now I got to have a cover 2 up top, thirds across the middle, and 1 guy who just watches the quarterback to make sure he doesn't cook us. Like that, to me, that is the game. The game comes down to, can Ohio State keep Riley Leonard in the pocket? So if he comes out and he throws for 350 and 3 touchdowns, you played a good quarterback led by a good coaching staff. But if he comes out and he runs for 50, 60, 70 yards and a touch, and he averages 3 yards per carry, that's how you lose this game on Monday. You've done pretty good. And as you pointed out, you got Captain Jack at the linebacker spot, who is about as physical and laterally quick as anybody in the game. I'm not super scared about it with the staff you have. The only thing that I truly believe, great one, that screws you guys up in this game is if the defensive play calling goes by the wayside, is if you don't take advantage of having the athleticism. Notre Dame, by the way, missing their starting left tackle and maybe missing their starting right guard in this game.
See, my biggest concern is going back to Michigan play calling. If you go back to play calling like in the Michigan game, then you're probably in trouble.
I would agree with that, but I would say this. I think that, and again, am I being wildly optimistic here? Yeah, probably. But I think I would lean on, you didn't do that in the round of 16 or round of 12. You didn't do it in the round of 6. You didn't do it in the semis.
Texas was starting to look that way a little bit. It really was. I also wonder how you feel if it comes down to Will Howard for the final play to win the game.
My man's been giving you 300 yards a game.
I know. But
granted, he's only been under pressure in that Texas game that one time, but he's given you 300 and a couple of tutties a game. It's hard to say I can't. If I'm Chip Kelly, I feel like Will Howard's earned the trust to go win the game. I feel like he's earned it. That being said,
I hope it doesn't come down to that. But if it does, I'm still going to have some concerns. He has stepped it up the last little bit. He's been pretty good the entire
these playoffs,
year.
the whole playoffs, he's been good. There were some spots in the regular season where you're like, that's a dumb mistake, right? Taking a slide with 3 seconds left on the clock in a winnable game. But in these playoffs, Will Howard, this is what I've consistently said, playoff Will Howard's a different breed of cat.
But here's another problem also. Chips on their shoulder for almost the entire season, especially at the end of the season, because of their coach and because of other things. Do they need a chip to win? And if so, they don't have one for Notre Dame. They're picked to beat them.
Yeah.
Can they handle that?
I don't know. Again, like this is one of those spots that I say on the radio
I'm
all the time.
Nervous fan finding all the angles why they could lose.
I say this on the radio all the time. If you've listened to the show for more than like 30 minutes, you've heard me say, I don't like to discuss intangibles. I can't quantify, does Ohio State need a chip on the shoulder to win? I don't know what that means. I'm not in that locker room. Like I've heard that conversation on some of the, like on the big national shows. They're like, Ohio State they're not dogs anymore. Nobody's doubting them anymore. And I'm like, guys, have you been in the locker room to know that's what they've leaned on? Have you heard Ryan Day say, I get the boys fired up?
Well, actually, you've seen Ryan Day and heard him say some things that would make you think that that's exactly what the deal is.
But again,
and there's been not a quiet anger, but just a flat out anger between the coaching staff and the players. Anytime you see them on the field, and especially Ryan Day.
I understand and I agree with all that. But what I'm saying is, you don't know that's where that's coming from. I played for coaches in the past.
You don't know that it's not.
I agree, but that's why I said I don't talk about the intangibles because we can't know this. I can't quantify they got a chip on their shoulder and go, that's worth 10 points.
I'm coming at this from a fan perspective. I was born and reared and whatever, an Ohio State Buckeye fan, grew up in the shadow of, the stadium's right down the street from me. I can't come at this from any other angle, but as a fan.
I get that.
My team is in the national championship. I'm going to look for all the reasons why that they could lose while believing more than anything that they're going to win.
I think that is fair. I don't have a dog in the fight, and even if I do, I'm very good at taking off the fan cap and putting on the host cap. That's my job. That's what I'm paid to do. Here's what I'm going to say. What I'm going to say is I'm not going to sit here and try to speculate on what's going to happen in the game based on the emotion of guys I've never met in a locker room I've never been in that has restricted access to it. I don't know about that. What I do know is what I've seen on the football field. What I do know is playoff Willie H is a different breed of cat. What I do know is play calling of Chip Kelly, no matter what level Ryan Day's involved at, Chip Kelly as a play caller has been on a different level in this postseason. And number 3, that linebacker core Ohio State has, this game's on them. Keep Riley Leonard in the pocket, you're fine. Keep him under 3 yards of carry, you're fine. Don't do that, you lose. That's the game to me. We'll talk more Natty as the show rolls on. We'll talk with Lulu Kesin of the Greenville News when we come back. We'll all listen to Lonzo do this Sports Flash now.
South Carolina Gamecocks dropped a close contest to Vanderbilt on the road, 66-63. Gamecocks shot over 42% from the floor and allowed Vanderbilt to shoot 41%, but with 11 more attempts and 5 more three-point attempts. The Gamecocks turned the ball over 25 times, and if you do that, you're probably going to lose. After a semifinal exit from the college football playoffs, Texas quarterback Quinn Ewers has elected to enter the NFL draft. No, I don't know if he's still a deputy. Ewers went 21-5 as a starter with 2 semifinal appearances, leading the only 2 Longhorn wins in the playoff format, and exits with a 9,128 yards and 68 touchdowns. That, not bad. Tune in this Saturday at 4:30 as the Furman Paladins take on the Chattanooga Mocs. It's Furman versus Chattanooga right here. Your home for Furman Paladins basketball. The Fan, upstate. Gotta make a phone call. I'll be back.
Yes, indeed, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. The third of the 4-hour sports talk extravaganza known as the Rob Brown Show starts right now. Why? I
just felt like booing you.
That's fair. You're not alone in that. Happens way more regularly than I'd like. You know who is not going to get booed? In fact, quite the opposite. If anything, the club horn sounds when we are joined live from Columbia, South Carolina, by a young lady who covers the South Carolina Gamecock athletic department for the Greenville News. She is the lovely Lulu Kesin joining us here on the broadcast. Good morning, young lady. Welcome back.
Good morning. Happy Thursday. How are you guys?
We are here. We are rolling into a new year, Lulu Kesin. Life's good.
Awesome. How far along of shrinking are you?
Let's see. We are 3 episodes into season 2 at this point. And it is gotten to gut punch time as he's here, he's there, he's everywhere. Roy Kent has showed up, and not in the role I expected Roy Kent in, Lulu Kesin. I was a little, I was quiet for a few minutes.
Yeah, and it's crazy to see him without a beard too. But apparently they wouldn't, because he's a writer and a producer of the show, and it was revealed that he was going to be in season 2, and I was kind of trying to make a prediction in my head, but I won't spoil it for anyone listening, but I did not think that he was going to be that character. And then when he came out without a beard, I was like, this is not the Roy Kent that I remember.
By the way, I need you to know, and I think you'll appreciate this, Lulu Kesin. I was watching this episode with the wife, and when they showed him for the first time, sans beard, she paused the show and she looked at me and she said, Roy Kent is why you're never allowed to shave.
That's hilarious.
It wasn't to me, Lulu. It wasn't to me. Lulu Kesin from the Greenville News joining us here on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate. We will get to Dawn Staley's gals here in just a minute, but I think we got to open up with the football team, Lulu Kesin, and let us start with this one. We found out yesterday that that young man that plays quarterback over there in Columbia, young man in Lenora Sellers, named the National Freshman of the Year. Pretty good year for Lenore's. What does that award say about Lenora Sellers, about the progression of his career, about how South Carolina developed him into a starter through the season, that he has been named the National Freshman Player of the Year?
Totally. I think exactly that. I think it's an award kind of that is given to him because of his growth, because of his progression. You know, I think all the time that Lenoris was the Old Dominion game, even a little bit of the Kentucky game. He was just a totally different quarterback than he was against Clemson and Illinois. And I think that any award that he's given is truly just him, you know, exceeding expectations this year, because there's proof. He was not on preseason watch lists. He was ranked, I think, 16th of all the SEC quarterbacks. People did not believe in him. And so awards, especially like the one of the caliber that he got yesterday, I mean, that just speaks to his growth and obviously the culture and the vibe around the program that allows him to kind of flourish like that.
Lenora Sellers as a quarterback next year is already being labeled as a potential Heisman Trophy frontrunner, Lulu Kesin. In the interactions that you have had with the football program and the postgame pressers and all that, do you feel like Lenora Sellers is? Because let's keep it a buck here. There was pressure on the Gamecocks this year, but not going to Heisman caliber levels for Lenora Sellers. Do you believe he's a guy that can rise to that level of pressure to carry this team again next year, now that the news is out that, hey, this kid can ball a little bit?
I'm definitely curious to sort of see how that goes. I think, you know, technically it was his second year in the program, but like you hear about like the sophomore slump sometimes. I'm not saying that Lenoris is necessarily going to plateau or take a step down, but I am curious to see what his sort of looks like without having that underdog mentality and kind of storyline to go with him. You know, I can, I guess, a little bit look at his junior to senior year playing in high school, but it's kind of hard to compare high school to SEC football. It's just so different. So based on who Lenoris is, I don't expect there to be a drop-off. I don't expect the moment to get too big for him, just because time and time again he's proven that he truly is just so calm and kind of takes things almost 1 minute at a time. He has probably one of the most intense competitive spirits of anyone I've ever covered, but at the same time he's just steady, calm, doesn't show a lot of emotions, doesn't let the moment get too big or too small until it's over. Obviously he'll like celebrate the Clemson touchdown when it's time to, but I've been very impressed with how he's sort of handled each and every moment this season, and I imagine that it won't be too different next year, even though that the bigger moments are more consistent.
Lulu Kesin from the Greenville News joins the Rob Brown Show every Thursday at 8 a.m. to talk South Carolina athletics. We've been watching transfer portal news. We've been watching, obviously, we're kind of in a quiet period for recruiting with National Signing Day, now less than a month and a half away, Lulu Kesin. Can you kind of just give us a general update on some of the highlights taking place in the football offices right now?
Yeah, and I don't want to mispronounce the player's last name, but his first name's Brandon, and he's a cornerback from NC State. And it's rumored that he picked South Carolina over Ole Miss, which is always a joyous day in Columbia for fans. He's from South Carolina, and Lane Kiffin like posted a picture of him in his hometown. I think it was like a building or an airport or something that said like, hey, I'm recruiting this kid. And then a 247 site for Ole Miss said that he was on a visit. And then, let's see, 3 days ago, late Monday night, he committed to South Carolina. And he's a talented player. He played 9 games, and he started all 9 of them for NC State. He missed, I think, 3 with some type of like lower leg injury. But besides that, people seem really excited about him. And I think that was kind of potentially not the last, transfer of the cycle, but a definitely exciting one, because regardless of of how good he might be, South Carolina fans love to do anything that involves like rubbing things in Lane Kiffin's face, especially if it means taking a player right from under him.
Who in the world, Lulu Kesin, would enjoy trolling Lane Kiffin? Come on.
I know, right? It's not like his Twitter presence isn't public enough where there's just nothing out there to make fun of him for, Lane Kiffin. Joey Freshwater, just absolute GOAT. But when you troll, expect to be re-trolled back the other direction. All right, let's talk about Dawn Staley's Gamecocks here for just a minute. You had the big win over Texas. You got Alabama coming up tonight. This is a streak of ranked games for the Gamecocks. I think it is fair to say, Lulu Kesin, correct me if I'm wrong here, that the Gamecocks might be in their most difficult regular season stretch on the schedule. Obviously, a lot of basketball to be played between here and the end of February into early March. But I think this might be the most difficult stretch. And the Gamecocks seem to be handling it despite having a couple of injuries they're having to deal with and shift things around a little bit. Dawn Staley's got her girls playing good basketball. Totally. Texas was a huge, obviously very difficult game on Sunday. They weathered that storm and took the win. But looking at, I would say if you had to look at the next 4 games, the next 2 could potentially be a little bit easier than the latter 2. But that's honestly only because both Alabama and Oklahoma are kind of banged up injury-wise and don't necessarily have the same depth that South Carolina does. That said, they're 2 incredibly talented SEC teams that are going to give South Carolina some trouble in a lot of ways. But man, oh man, when they have LSU and Tennessee back-to-back next week, that's when they're really going to be battle-tested, and that's going to be probably some of the best women's basketball all season, in my opinion. But I think a good match for South Carolina is Alabama, and I think tonight's game will be a good chance for South Carolina to improve on some things that went wrong against Texas, and also, get a little bit of just their confidence back in some ways before they have an even tougher stretch of ranked opponents.
Lulu Kesin from the Greenville News joining us here on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate, as she does every Thursday morning at 8 a.m. Break this Alabama game down for me. I got to tell you, it's been, as somebody who watches both the men's and women's game, Alabama is interesting because Nate Oates showed up, and all of a sudden, Bama fans have turned this basketball program on both the men's and the women's side into a nationally recognized program, and both sides of the program have been floated because of it. This is not a go in there, throw the garnet and black jersey on the floor and wipe them out as some other teams are, Lulu Kesin. This is, at least to me, this is a game the Lady Gamecocks are going to have to be on their game to win. Break this one down for me a little bit.
Right. And I think, so Alabama's without Sarah Ashley Barker, obviously a key player, one of their best. She's a graduate student. She's kind of, I would say the game flows through her. That said, Zay Green is averaging 16.7 points this year, which is 10th in the SEC. She's also averaging, I think, 4 rebounds and 4 assists. She's a player that is going to pose a huge threat to South Carolina wherever she is on the floor because of her talent and her versatility. So that's just one automatic, a one-on-one matchup that South Carolina has to think about tonight, especially that she has height. She's 6'2", which likely means it'll be either Sanaya Fagan or Chloe Kitts guarding her, not necessarily the fastest players on the court for South Carolina. It was different than when the best player on the court was Madison Booker on Sunday. And although she was taller, she could play as a guard. And so Bree Hall, a quick guard, could defend her. Alabama's well coached. Their coach has been, in women's basketball for almost 2 decades now, I believe. And so it's, like you said, it's a program that isn't going away. They've made the NCAA tournament the last 2 years. If anything, they're on the rise. They're continuing to get better and better. I mean, they're 24-10 last year. That's not bad. Like you said, they're going to give South Carolina trouble in some ways. And especially if South Carolina doesn't clean up the turnovers, they're just too talented of a team that they're going to take advantage and score on the other end.
Lulu Kesin is joining us here on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate. So as far as this Gamecock team right now, Lulu Kesin, I mean, obviously this is a team that's got national championship aspirations. It's got certainly talent. With the adversity this team has felt so far this year, a couple of L's earlier in the year, do you think that this is an opportunity for a repeat for Dawn Staley?
100%. I think South Carolina can win the national championship this year. I genuinely think in some ways it is, can they get out of their own way and recognize that they're at their best when they do certain things that are within their program. Like, I'm saying that because obviously when you get into the tournament and just with the way that the March Madness is set up, it's like technically anyone can beat anyone. That's the story. That's their Cinderella stories. That's what March Madness is. That's what I love. But at the same time, South Carolina knows its worth. And I think that's a really important key factor in a lot of their success in the tournament, is that they don't let other people tell them that they might be the biggest upset. They kind of stay out of that mentality. However, South Carolina at the same time, like, they could face a Notre Dame earlier in the tournament than they did the last couple years. It's sort of a matter of who's in their bracket, and then when they're in these situations, if they play, within themselves and understand what's at stake and kind of have that intense level of focus, I think that's when South Carolina plays their best basketball.
What an answer. Lulu Kesin from the Greenville News joins us every Thursday at 8 a.m. Before we let you go, Lulu Kesin, I was patrolling your Twitter feed earlier this morning just to get a vibe on what you've been talking about, what you've been covering. I would like to congratulate your alumnus, UMass, for setting an NCAA record, Lulu Kesin.
Heck yeah. It was crazy night to be a Minuteman last night. Diggin setting a program record 46 points and then setting like an NCAA record for most fouls and most fouled out players. But
75 fouls, 112 surrendered free throw attempts.
I will say this. I am very glad that I was not a student reporter covering that game, because triple overtime on a school night, I wish I could say that I would have been, it would have just electrified me in the moment. But hey, watching that, I was like yawning. However, absolutely electric. Go you, proud UMass alum.
Love to hear it. Love to hear it. Nothing better than a game that sees one team shoot 57 free throws and the other shoot 65 of them. What an electric night out there between those two squads. Lulu Kesin, you can follow her on X at Lulu Kesin, Kesin, or you can just come back here every Thursday at 8 a.m. when she joins us. Lulu, you are the best, young lady. Thank you very much, as always.
Thank you. And I'll say really quickly that if anyone listening wants to read more about the UMass game, I'm going to plug my former student paper, the Daily Collegian, and Samantha Sands should have some really great content from that game for you. So go check it out if you're curious.
If you think there's a game I want to read more about than a game with 75 free throws, or was 120 free throws, you don't know me. Lulu, we'll talk to you next week. Thank you, ma'am.
All right. Thanks for having me.
You got it. Anytime. Lulu Kesin here on the show. LULUKESIN is the Twitter handle. Make sure you check her out when we come back here in just a minute. We go back to the National Football League. break down some of these divisional round games, including Baltimore and Buffalo live from Orchard Park and more. I'm Rob. He's Lonzo. And you are listening to The Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate. The Rob Brown Show carries on. It's the fan upstate. Rob, the great Lonzo, and you. Phone line's open for you. Text line's open for you. They're the same line. 844-326-3663. 844-FANFONE. 844-326-3663 is the number to be a part of a radio broadcast this AM. Texter said, Rob, why are these games played on a Monday every year? I don't understand. Wouldn't you have better ratings on a Saturday, or is it because you're going against the NFL playoffs? Go Catholics, beat the horse chestnuts. Yes, that is why. We have already shown, and granted, this was not the Natty. This was not the national championship. These were not just two playoff games, but they were probably the least two anticipated of the first round playoff games. But when the college football playoffs went up against the NFL back in the opening round of the college football playoffs, and remember, these were against NFL games that I'm not going to say didn't mean anything, but like weren't massively consequential. They got hammered by the NFL. They are not going to beat the NFL. I genuinely, you could put the college football national championship game. They could put the college football national championship game up against an opening round wild card playoff game, and the playoff game is going to drum it. That's not an indication of it's a good or a bad thing. It just is what it is, right? This is the United States of America is an NFL country first. It doesn't feel that way because us collectively win in a region that prefers its college football. But again, go on down on Sunday, any given football Sunday, go on down to your local sports bar on NFL Sunday. It's packed, all right? We love the NFL. So they're not going to put it up against it. And I know this segment's been done 2,000 times probably already this morning. But the question got asked, and I'm a man of the people, so I'm going to answer it. The answer is the NFL would get, college football would get it handed to them. Would get it handed to them if they went up against especially the NFL playoffs. They're just not going to compete. And so you have two options, which is play it, well, I guess technically three. You could play it on Thursday, you could play it on Friday, you could play it on Monday. Friday's a non-starter. Friday's a non-starter because Friday nights are just the worst TV night. People do not watch TV on Friday in the number. This is why there's really nothing outside of SmackDown. There's really nothing on Friday. TV shows don't debut new episodes on Fridays. There's very little sport on Fridays. And granted, the NFL absolutely would put games up on Fridays, but legally they're not allowed to. But they don't. You don't do sports on Friday. And SmackDown's only on Friday because it's been around for so long in that time slot and has a very dedicated audience to it. So Friday's not an option, which leaves you Monday or Thursday. It leaves you Monday or Thursday. Thursdays, I guess technically would work. I don't think they're any better or worse than Monday in terms of ratings. I'm not a TV exec, and I haven't studied this stuff since I left college 16 years ago. But Mondays make the most sense, as I believe Mondays traditionally have a higher overall television rating than other nights of the week. That's why Monday Night Football is Monday Night Football and not Thursday Night Football. Because
people just went back to work. It's Monday, and you're like, oh, I got to find something to take my mind off of what just happened today.
Just Mondays, dude. Again, not a
Every
not
day
a
is
TV
basically
accept.
the same around here for me, but still, for a lot of people, Monday just tears them. I mean, what other reason would there be for Monday to be that?
Again, Monday's a good TV night. I mean, sure, I suspect it's largely because people got hammered. Okay, I was going to say people got hammered at work on Monday. I meant like in terms of work.
Some did and got away with it, and some got caught.
That's true. People got slammed at work on a Monday. Monday night's chill out night, relax night, whatever. I think that it is on a Monday because it's not going to go up against the NFL. We all know that. I think it's on a Monday because they have two options then, which are, again, Thursday or Monday. And right now, and on top of that, we know Monday is a night that we as football fans are trained to watch football, right? Like Monday Night Football is on Monday. There's no Monday Night NFL football. So let's play it on Monday in the Monday Night Football slot because we know people watch football on Monday nights. So I think we would all prefer it on a Saturday. But the reality here is, and I've said this before, would I prefer it on a Saturday? Yes. But also no, because I'm going to tell you right now, it would get, I'm special. I have the Bro Cave where I got 5 screens set up on demand. It would get the smaller screen. I'm an NFL guy first. And the problem you have here is it doesn't feel like it in this area. America is NFL first. The College Football National Championship, and keep in mind, if you need to know what any football decision's motivation is, the answer is money. It's always money. It's always been money. It's always going to be money. And so if you have this job, which is get as many eyeballs on the product as you possibly can, while it would be easier for those of you that are college football first fans to watch it on a Saturday night, it would be neglected by a huge viewing audience who would be watching the Detroit Lions, a Super Bowl favorite, play a home game against maybe the most electric rookie we've seen since Lamar Jackson and Jaden Daniels, probably the biggest wild card in the probably the biggest wild card in these playoffs, right? Is Jaden Daniels. So if you put the Natty, even if you put the Natty on a Saturday, where college football fans will sit there and tell you, hey man, like it's easier for me to watch if you put it on a Saturday, it's not going to matter. It's going to get killed by the NFL. Even if the numbers were a 50-50 split, they would not be. But if there's 120 million college football viewers and NFL viewers, even if the number was split 50-50, there is a huge number of potential viewers that would be watching the NFL game ahead of the college game. So you put it on a Monday for one reason and one reason alone. That is the way you are going to get the most people watching it. Even if you have less of you dedicated college football fans watching it late into Monday, potentially like Lonzo, an Ohio State fan, the reality is there's a lot of folks who are not watching it on Mondays or on Saturday over an NFL playoff game. That's just going to be what it is. So we'll see how it plays when the ratings come out late next week. But that's your answer, Texter. They play it on a Monday because that's the night of the week that you're going to get the most eyeballs on the product. You don't lose them to the NFL. And if you are dedicated enough as a college football fan that you care this much about it, let's be real, you're watching it Monday and you'll just be tired on Tuesday, right? The number of viewers that will skip it to watch NFL playoff football is greater than the number of viewers who are going to go, it's Monday, I got to go nighty-night for a Tuesday job, so I can't watch this. I'll DVR it tomorrow. There are more people that will watch the NFL instead of college football than there are people who won't watch on Monday because it's Monday. There's just more of them. So you're going to play it for the prospective viewership. That's just how these decisions get made. All right, let's take a break. We'll come back here in just a minute. Let's talk Baltimore Buffalo's the game this weekend, right? Like, it's the game. So let's talk about the game. Rashad Beard would be coming by. He's got to push till tomorrow. So we'll have Rashad Beard coming up tomorrow on the show. 9 o'clock. Fight Club jumps up a segment because Mario had a doctor's appointment, had to move it around. He'll join us at 9:20 to talk about the divisional round. And then we wrap it up with what the X is going on at the end of the show. All coming up on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate.
Have you made any vegetables that are in the frozen department specifically made for the air fryer yet?
Yes, actually.
I bought a couple packs of things this past weekend that I want to try.
There is I don't know what company it is, but there's a company that makes a bag of mixed potatoes and peppers just for the air fryer. And it's jumped up on my favorite things list. It is super well seasoned. It tastes good. I cook that in the air fryer while I'm putting a steak on the grill and put them together. Oh, it's great.
And I haven't tried it yet. I got, it's not street corn, but it's little ears of corn that are specifically for the air fryer.
Like baby corn?
No, just smaller ears.
Okay.
Yeah, it's got a name, and I wanted to say street corn, but I don't think it's street corn, but it could be.
I think street corn is the way you prepare corn.
Yeah, so I forget what it's called, but I'm going to try it. Also got a new air fryer for Christmas. Just haven't hooked it up yet.
Dude.
Yeah, the problem is I know how my old one works. And I know how long it takes to do certain things in it. And I need to start using it.
Is the new one like an upgrade?
On Saturday or so. Yeah, it also has rotisserie in it. So it's got some other stuff in it. But I know exactly what time it takes to do certain things, especially in the morning. And it's more about my morning tater tots. I know I have enough time to go to the restroom because this one preheats, and it will be done preheating when I'm done in the restroom. I can go throw my tater tots in. I know it's going to take 16 minutes for those to be done the way I like them, which gives me time to go take a shower and get ready and come back out with 3 minutes left to go that I can put my half of an English muffin in. I mean, I got everything.
Yeah, you got it.
I'm very regimented. So I haven't hooked it up yet because I'm going to have to adjust times. And I've done that before, Trey, and we've got some of those. But it's cold out right now. And I also believe that when you get older that, I don't care anymore thing happens to the point where it's like, grilling's awesome, but that's a lot of effort. I just, I think I'll stay in here where it's warm. The other part is I have to put the cat up anytime I use the grill, because if I open up the big door, she'll try to go out. And if she goes out, she'll be lost forever. And catching the cat is not easy now.
The Baltimore Ravens travel to take on the Buffalo Bills in Orchard Park, upstate New York this weekend. Zoe, off the cuff, the key to this game for either or both teams is what?
Stopping the run.
Good luck with Derrick Henry.
Either side, stopping the run. And then it's a quarterback show, and it's whichever one has the better game, because I think they're pretty evenly matched. I know some people will lean towards Josh Allen, but I think they're pretty evenly matched. Even running, because Josh Allen's a very good runner. So, I mean, it really comes down to who stops the run game and forces the other quarterback to – and then this is such a coin toss. It just really is.
I think you have to, if you are Buffalo, I think you have to key in on Derrick Henry. Honestly, I think you got to let Lamar be Lamar, understand Lamar is going to burn you a couple of times, but I think you've got to key in on Derrick Henry. I don't think there is another way to do that. I go look at the Derrick Henry stats on the year. In a loss against Philadelphia back on December 1st, Derrick Henry had 82 yards. In a loss against Pittsburgh, Derrick Henry had 65 yards. In a 1-point win over Cincinnati, he had 68. In a shocking loss to Cleveland, he had 73. In an overtime win against Cincinnati, he had 92. In the loss to the Raiders, he had 84. In the loss to the Chiefs, he had 46. I think you have to stop Derrick Henry. In those 3 wins where they blew out Pittsburgh, Houston, and Cleveland to end the year, he had 162, 147, and 138. I think Buffalo has to sell out on Derrick Henry. I sometimes
are the games that much different? Are the teams that much different than they were when they matched up earlier in the season?
Yes, Buffalo's actually healthy this time around. They're going to have their full complement of wide receivers, so
it's not going to be a blowout like it was then when it was 35-10.
No,
Ravens.
And in fact, I'm picking the over in this game because I think both of these teams will get into the 30s, maybe the 40s when it's all said and done. I think Baltimore can put up 35 against Buffalo, even with them keying in on, by the way, Derrick Henry had 199 yards in that game.
Weather forecast. It's supposed to snow, right?
Let's find out.
I believe it's supposed to snow, which might bring those numbers down.
I don't know that it was, because I don't know that it does, because I think you can lean in on Derrick Henry's going to be Derrick Henry. No matter if it's 2 degrees or 200 degrees, he's just him. According to CBS Sports, daytime high of 20 degrees, expected to drop by halftime to roughly 8 degrees. AccuWeather estimates the temperature will feel with wind chill -3 at kickoff. And both outlets are calling for at least a 40% chance of snow. Now, it's not going to be windy. Expected cap of 5 to 10 miles an hour per the Weather Channel, but it could end up being a wintry mix. Predominantly snow, but a wintry mix. Look, Derrick Henry's Derrick Henry, whether it's the snow, the sleet, the rain, the shine.
And these are both cold weather teams, so it's not going to affect one over the other.
I don't know that either one has an advantage. Okay, let's rephrase that. I think Buffalo has just played more snow games over the past 2 or 3 years than Baltimore has. It is a lot snowier up in Buffalo than it is in Baltimore. That's not to say Baltimore ain't played some snow games. They have. I think Buffalo's better suited for the weather. But I think Derrick Henry's Derrick Henry. I mean, that's just who he is. That's what he's going to do. My question mark is, how efficient will Lamar Jackson be if it is 8 degrees and snowing? -3 with a wind chill and snowing. How efficient will Lamar be able to be? Will he tighten up any? Will he still be able to spin the bean if it is snowy outside? Like, what does Lamar Jackson turn into? And because of that, if I am the defense, if I am Buffalo's defensive coordinator, it's key in on Derrick Henry. I want hands-on 22 every snap. I want Derrick Henry to feel at the end of the game, even if he gets to $135, $140, to feel like he FAFO'd by going and running into the teeth of the Buffalo defense. That's what I have to have. It's not even a want. I don't think you can win if you do anything else in this game. If you go look at the games that Baltimore lost or won in close ones, Derrick Henry's 80 yards or below in just about all of them. And it's a couple of big blowout wins, but they're against like the Giants. They won 35-14. Derrick Henry had 67 yards. Let's see. Where are the other ones? You had the 92 yards in a 41-38 win over Cincinnati. We talked about that. The two losses, he had 84 or below to end the season. The thing is, there are games where Derrick Henry doesn't really get going. Now, those are ordinarily the games that you look and you go, damn, Lamar had a day through the air. But I think if you're Buffalo, you've got to stop Derrick Henry. You've got to give your offense extra possessions. You got to give Josh Allen a chance to be Josh Allen. You got to go get him the football. And there's another aspect to that, which is if Derrick Henry has a day, what ends up happening to the clock? Tick, tock, tick, tock. If Derrick Henry has a day and Baltimore is going on some of these 6.5, 7-minute possessions that we've seen Baltimore go on throughout the course of the year, what are you doing? You're playing the best defense you can play against Josh Allen, which is keeping his ass on the bench. If Josh Allen's on the field, Buffalo gets points. How do I stop that? 7.5, 8-minute drives. Grind down on that defense. Do not let Josh Allen and Keon Coleman and Amari Cooper, don't let them get into any. If Buffalo gets into the ability to throw the football, pass the football, if they're clicking to the point that Keon Coleman's getting involved with those snappy underneath route runs that he can go on, that's where it suddenly becomes a 38-35, 42-40 shootout. And I don't think Baltimore wants to get into a shootout. Can they? Yes. Can they win it? Also probably yes. Do they want to? No. I don't think they want to risk that. I think Baltimore would love to keep this game in the 20s. I think Baltimore would love to go on those 7.5, 8-minute stretches. I think Baltimore would be thrilled, great one, if there were 3 possessions a quarter and no more.
Oh, absolutely.
Right? If they can have 3, and I'm talking between both teams, but if they can have 3 possessions a quarter, Baltimore's got a much better chance of winning this game. I like Baltimore, for the record. Somebody just texted and said, Rob, shut up, who are you picking? Which is a great text. Shut up, who are you picking? I'm picking Baltimore to win this game.
That to me is text of the day. You can't beat that.
Rob, shut up, who are you picking? That's fantastic text. So to shut up and tell you who I'm picking.
So all the hype all through this entire year about your boy Josh Allen, and you're going to pick him to lose.
Who's my other dog? Lamar Jackson, bud.
I don't know. You have some Bryce Young.
B.Y.'s my dog.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what you want me to say. I got some dogs. I like guys who can play ball. B.Y. can play ball. Lamar Jackson can play ball. Josh Allen can play ball.
I would say out of all the playoff games this weekend, the easiest one to pick is Baltimore over Buffalo.
I don't agree with that.
I mean, it should be the best game, but I think that's the easiest one to pick.
You're on a Baltimore runaway here.
So Baltimore's going to win. I'm not going to say it's going to be another blowout, but they're definitely going to win.
Tell me, in your opinion, what it is that makes this an easy pick for Baltimore.
I said this earlier in the week. It's Derrick Henry, and I know. And then you pointed out that Buffalo also has a good running back,
James Cook.
But here's the thing:
he ain't Derrick Henry.
Derrick Henry knows this is the end. I mean, he's near the end of his career, and this is his best shot by far to make it to the Super Bowl. And I think that he believes, probably like a lot of the country believes, that whoever wins this game is going to beat Kansas City and go to the Super Bowl.
I didn't know. Rest in peace, Derrick Henry. We'll miss you. We hardly knew you.
Never said he was.
We hardly
dead.
knew you.
I was talking about the end of his career. How old is Derrick Henry?
Let's see. Derrick Henry is 29. He's up there, isn't he? He is 31. No, he's 32.
This is probably his last chance.
No, he's 31. He turns 32. Oh, he just turned 31. Okay, I was looking at his birthday, and I'm bad at math. He was born in 94, so he's 31.
Which is
wrong side of the bump, but he's also putting you up a bunch of 160 games.
He is, but when that thing hits a running back, even though they have a really great season at that age, when it hits it, that's it. They're done. I mean, there's nothing left. We've seen it happen with Emmitt Smith, with a bunch of other guys where they're really good and good late into their career, and then suddenly it was gone. So I do believe that he knows that it's close, and this is his best shot. That's why he went to Buffalo. He could have went to a couple different places. I mean, went to Baltimore. He went there because he knows he's got a shot at going to the Super Bowl.
Yes, I agree with that. And again, Lamar Jackson's already said a couple of times. He's like, look, here's the deal. We've been jittery in the playoffs so far, and we don't have that same attitude. And I do believe Derrick Henry's a big part of that reason.
So do I. And I think Lamar gets nervous, just hand the ball off to King Henry and let him do his thing.
See, I don't even think Lamar's going to get nervous. I don't think the issue's been Lamar Jackson in these playoffs.
He has said that he gets nervous. I mean, he's said it a few times lately, saying that he gets nervous, he gets too excited, and that's part of the problem.
I mean, that's fair.
Handing the ball off to that guy, that's going to make you less nervous.
When in doubt, give it to 22. I think that is absolutely the mentality that you have to take here. No doubt about that. I think that, run the damn ball. Like, this is real simple. Run the damn ball, and you're going to win. You're going to win a lot of football games. I just think that to dismiss what is built on the other side of the football field as incapable of keeping up with that is where you get yourself in trouble. I think people look at, and I think this is an easy thing to do. I think people look at Derrick Henry and what Derrick Henry is doing and has done. I think people look at Derrick Henry, what Derrick Henry is and has done, and I think that they compare and contrast and go, Buffalo doesn't have Derrick Henry. I don't disagree. They got James Cook, though. And James Cook has been quietly like a top 7-8 runner in the game. Like quietly a top 7-8 runner in the game. And so when I combine that with Josh Allen, who, as we have talked about, has had one kryptonite in the NFL, Patrick Mahomes. The existence of Patrick Mahomes has been the only kryptonite for Josh Allen so far. When I have Josh Allen over there, I have James Cook, who, like we said, has quietly been a top 8, top 9, top 10 running back in the league this year. I absolutely think that they can keep up with Baltimore. This is why Baltimore has got to limit possessions for Buffalo, has got to turn this into a grinded out football game, has got to keep Josh Allen on the sideline. That's the option.
This is also best case scenario for Kansas City. And it was from the beginning. And if things play out how they probably will, Kansas City's in the AFC Championship game against a beat up either Baltimore or Buffalo team.
Oh, I agree with that entirely. If you're Kansas City, you're watching this game and hoping that James Cook and Derrick Henry just get the hell beat out of them by these defenses. Because I do think the opposite is true too. I think for Baltimore, you started your take with stop the run game. Couldn't agree more. Both directions. You got to remove James Cook from the equation. I am going to make it to where I say, Josh Allen, if you're going to win this game by being Josh Allen, you're going to have to be the best version of Josh Allen. And if you take James Cook out of that equation, that ends up happening. Or it's not Josh Allen ends up guaranteed being the best Josh Allen. That's a situation in which you create that Josh Allen. If James Cook is running the ball well, everything else opens up even more. If James Cook isn't running the ball well, now Josh Allen's got to be a quarterback who can run, not a run threat who is also an excellent quarterback. And if you create that world, That's your best chance of winning this game if you are Baltimore. I would agree with that. All right. When we come back in the next hour of the show, we lead off with, ordinarily at 9:20, but this morning for one day only at 9 a.m., Fight Club with the great one, Lonzo. Going to walk us through the worlds of boxing, MMA, and professional wrestling. Then at 9:20, Hatin Ass Mario going to join us on the show to give us his thoughts on the NFL's divisional round. All of that is coming up in the next segment after Lonzo lets you hear what pure seduction sounds like with this Sports Flash.
Yeah, I don't need to comment because he's 100% accurate. After a semifinal exit from the college football playoffs, Texas quarterback Quinn Ewers has elected to enter the NFL draft. Ewers went 21-5 as a starter with 2 semifinal appearances, leading the only 2 Longhorn wins in the playoff format, and exits with 9,128 yards and 68 touchdowns. We'll see how that translates into the NFL. The South Carolina Gamecocks dropped a close contest to Vanderbilt on the road 66-63. Gamecocks shot over 42% from the floor and allowed Vanderbilt to shoot 41%, but with 11 more attempts and 5 more 3-point attempts, the Gamecocks turned the ball over 25 times. That's bad. Tune in this Saturday at 4:30 as the Furman Paladins take on the Chattanooga Mocs. It's Furman versus Chattanooga right here on your home for Furman Paladins basketball, The Fan, upstate.
I was just looking at the switch too, Trey. Oops. We didn't talk about it. I just said the word. This is not Pee-wee's Playhouse. You ruined it, Trey. We were going to have a lovely conversation about Switch 2, and you ruined it by saying it. Unbelievable.
Oh, it has nothing to do with that. People mention things on it all the time. It's whether you say something about it. Then it's eliminated. And by the way, getting things that are trending all the way through the show is also part of the game for me.
Got our annual don't say the big game email. Or only say the big game, I guess.
cool, Trey. I think this is the first one that you've spoiled in a while.
No, I mean, you can say it now, Trey. It's off,
yeah,
it's
I
off
mean,
the list. You can say whatever you want.
Yeah, now we can talk about it full on. But in truth, I haven't checked out all the specs yet. So
I have not air fried a steak yet, and I refuse to.
yeah, I don't.
You cook a steak over an open flame like a man.
I don't want to cook meat in the air fryer. I will. It's like wings. I mean, I'll make wings in there, but it's usually I'm reheating. I don't actually make it. The only thing I make is vegetables in it. Just to remind you, I need to get rid of this promo, but you won't let me. You're always telling me to shut up. Gosh, so hurtful.
You called it my hangout weight.
Oh, no, you did.
Oh, I definitely did. I'm not disputing it. It's obvious.
Yeah,
it's recorded.
So why'd you say that and then point at my hangout?
I just don't think he's good enough to beat me.
My style is impetuous, my defense is impregnable, and I'm just ferocious. I want your heart, I want to eat his children.
I'd like to take this chance to apologize to absolutely nobody. The double champ does what the he wants.
Welcome into the Rob Brown Show and the Fight Club, where I bumped Mario. Why? Because I can. Because I felt like, I wanted this segment to move up. So Mario, he can just wait. And what's he going to do?
Freaking Mario.
What's he going to do?
Show up at 9:20.
He lost his strength when he cut his hair. It happens. Speaking of someone who's lost something, maybe, allegedly, possibly, we got to talk about Corey Graves.
We got to talk about Corey Graves.
And here are the things they threw up on X. Corey Graves said, imagine chasing your dream, then being told, and in parentheses, not deciding, that you're no longer physically able to pursue your dream. Then you dedicate your life to something dream adjacent and being pretty awesome at it. And then when it's time to enjoy the fruits of your labor, being told you're not famous enough for your own job, just in case you're wondering where I've been. And then the next thing he said is, I've got a lot to say. Don't miss WWE's NXT tonight on the CW, which he did not appear on.
Yep.
I have a theory before we get to the thing. All right. So I've been speculating, some other people online have also, about a faction of disgruntled people. Yeah. What, are you a faction of disgruntled people?
Yeah, me and
are you saying
I'm in the camp. Yeah, listen.
Yeah. Drew McIntyre.
Yep.
Maybe Seth Rollins, possibly. And of course, someone who's going up against Cody here pretty soon, who just happens to be from Canada and jump people all the time. And then
he's right, though.
He is right. He's absolutely right. And now we've got somebody else who, according to stories like last year, was cleared to wrestle again. I think the main thing, and a lot of people are saying this is a work. Other people saying this is a shoot. Apparently his own brother says, no, this is real, which is exactly what you would say if it's a work. How hard is it to get a true work through in this day and age with all the internet and everything. It has got to be as real as possible to fool at least some of the people. Has to be.
Look, if you want kayfabe to exist in 2025, you have to not do kayfabe, right? Like you have to do things that are. Listen, I'm not gonna give too much in the way of details here. But what this story is for Corey Graves, shoot or work is irrelevant. This is something that has happened to me. Like Lonzo is well aware of the details. Effectively, I busted my ass. I got told how great I was, how much everything was appreciated. And when an opportunity came up, I quite literally got told, you're not famous enough for this job, despite the fact that you have worked towards it for a very long time. We're going to go with somebody who has never stepped foot in the building before because they're more famous than you. At the end of the day, sometimes we are given a reminder that the people who run the show, and I don't care where you work, this is true, with rare exceptions of some mom and pops, the people who run the show don't give a damn about you. They care about jacking up the profit. And if you get a chance, and for the record, when I got told, hey, dude, we really like you. We appreciate the hard work. We want you around, but you're not famous enough for this job that you have made it clear that you are elevating yourself to or trying to. This other famous person who you've never talked to before is famous enough. We're giving it to him. It was a slap in the face reminder that at the end of the day, it's just about maximizing the profit. And this guy came in with a bunch of viewers. If this story is a shoot, I get it. If it's a work, what a lead up to what is likely McAfee v. Corey Graves down the line.
This is what a lot of people are speculating, but McAfee has said many times that he cannot pass the wellness test, the drug test.
Yeah, because listen, if I recall, I thought I recalled at some point, and I could be wrong, but I thought I recalled at some point that WWE had either eliminated or eased the restrictions on talent smoking the Mary Jane.
They have. I recall reading the same thing, but I'm sure there's probably limits to your imbibing and how much shows up in your blood or your urine or whatever, and maybe you can't do it because of that.
I don't know.
Which also could be a work, but it's not. I mean, look at his eyes sometimes.
Listen,
he's,
McAfee 100%, is a partaker for sure. I don't think anybody's. And again, I don't care. Like, have at it. That doesn't bother me at all. It ain't for me. It gives me anxiety attacks. I don't care. Do your thing. Knock it out.
I care if it's illegal.
Again, in a lot of states, it's not. Right? Like in a lot of states, it's not.
I don't know if it's legal in Indianapolis or not. And also, I'm curious about what ESPN's policy is for that. But
but here's the thing. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what their policy is. What matters is, are you bringing eyes to the viewership or not? We saw what happened on College Game Day with the addition of Pat McAfee. It's a brand new show, and it's got more viewers than it's had in years. Monday Night Raw, Friday Night SmackDown, whatever show McAfee is on, he has brought a brand new universe to the WWE universe, so they're all in on this. The reality is, whether it is a work or whether it is a shoot is irrelevant. All that matters is this story is something, and this is what wrestling is about. This story is about nothing else for me of I am in Graves' shoes. I have been there. I know that feeling personally. And now, even though I'm a McAfee guy, if that's where this is going, for this, even though he's a heel, I am Team Corey Graves. And if it is a shoot and Corey Graves is legitimately complaining about his reality, I'm still Team Corey Graves on this.
All right. The other thing is, I didn't watch Corey back in the day because I didn't watch NXT. I heard he was pretty good.
He was good.
And here's the thing, but is he good enough to carry a match against McAfee, who hasn't wrestled in a really long time, and neither has Corey Graves? So I don't think I know WrestleMania is still a couple months away. I do believe that this is a work, but I don't think the McAfee match is what it'll be. I think it'll be something else.
Booker T.
Which would be awesome.
No, it's not. You can't.
No, it would have been awesome 15 years ago.
Right. You can't put two guys. Listen, if you're going to put him in there, you're obviously going to put him in there against somebody who can carry him, who can get the ring rust knocked off in a real audience.
McAfee's not that guy.
It ain't Pat McAfee. I agree. Which is kind of part of the reason that I lean towards thinking I think this might actually be a shoot because it makes sense. Listen, it doesn't make sense to, as much as I love Bad News Barrett, it doesn't make sense to replace Corey Graves with Bad News Barrett. Corey Graves is excellent as that tweener leans heel commentator, especially when you put him up with a Cole. You put him up against a Micah Cole. Now, Cole and McAfee are a tag team now. They're not going anywhere. But you can put him up with any of the generic face announcers. Put him with Tessitore. They're going to be great. Although, I'm interested because I do wonder how Tessitore would react to have a play-by-play commentator who is openly adversarial towards him. Wade Barrett's not really openly adversarial towards Joe Tessitore. Corey Graves would be. I honestly believe that this is at least partially a shoot because you pulled Corey Graves randomly, then you pulled him off of NXT, which again could be part of the shoot. But it makes sense to me that I wouldn't pair him with Tessitore, but you pay Tessitore a lot of money to come over. I can't put him on a three-man desk with McAfee because he's not going to outshine McAfee, and Cole would get pushed to the limit with these two yapping at each other. I genuinely can see this being a legitimate shoot from Corey Graves. But again, part of the when wrestling's at its best, it's because there is somebody we can put ourselves into their shoes, and I can.
Knew this was coming, but I thought Tessitore would be gone. That's what I thought. I thought they would go back to Corey and Barrett being back together on SmackDown. That's what I thought was going to happen. Them keeping a hold of Tessitore. By the way, I understand. I understand why you keep him. It's legitimacy. And he brings that, and he's pretty good and getting better all the time. And he understands wrestling. You can tell he does. His voice is annoying to a lot of people, but put that aside.
You can tell when they bring over an established play-by-play guy because it gives them that credibility of feeling like a real sport. But then it's very obvious when that person is just clearly not a wrestling fan. Oh, what's his face that I used to dog relentlessly because he very clearly had never watched wrestling and got thrown into the deep end. And I will acknowledge that there is a bit of it that is personal to me as somebody who does this for a living, would kill to be on one of those shows and is a wrestling fan that could call a match. It is slightly personal, but the other aspect of it is Tessitore's a wrestling fan. Like, he gets a move wrong every now and then, but by and large, he's a wrestling fan who understands when to let a match breathe and when to jump up there.
Cole gets a move wrong every once in a while.
Sure.
And gets destroyed online when he does it.
Absolutely. But I would say this. I think to have a Tessitore or a Cole, you've got to pair them up with somebody who is genuinely electric.
See, here's the other problem. Corey doesn't work well in a three-man booth. They've had three-man booths in WWE before. AEW does it well. I think they do. But there are some times where there's a lot of clashing between the two analysts where on AEW where the guy calling play-by-play is getting a little bit lost. And that has to do with major personalities. And Corey Graves is a major personality, and you can't put him in a three-man. You just can't.
You got to do a three-man desk. You have to have the archetypes. You have to have the straight man play-by-play. You got to have a face, and you got to have a heel. You can't have two heels, can't have two faces, can't have three different persons.
I liked it when Byron was there because you had the straight-up face, and but Corey was so vicious to Byron, after a while, it got a little cringy.
I don't disagree. I think that the three-man booth works for AEW because you have a clear face, you have a clear heel, and you have the clear straight man on play-by-play. And sometimes you can throw in a legend like a JR to spice it up a little bit. You could do a three-man booth with Tessitore as the straight man in the middle. The problem is you have two heels in Barrett and Graves, and you can't put them up next to each other because otherwise they're just the same guy in a different voice.
I think Barrett could pull off the face. I think he could.
I could he? Yes. But he's one of those guys that cat's just the natural heel. He just is it's going to feel forced as a face, natural as a heel. So it makes sense to have him on that side.
He's been more on the face side when it comes to Drew McIntyre and a couple of those guys.
That's because they're heels, right? Like a heel is a face for other heels. The guy who jumps up and says Drew McIntyre is right, and by the way, he is also a heel. And if that person's a heel, I can't, because here's the thing. What are you going to do with Corey Graves? If you have him come in here and go, Kevin Owens is right, he's just taking it too far. Well, now Corey Graves is a face, but he's not a face guy either.
All right, so So,
I'll tell you what I do right now, and this is going to be my controversial take, and then we get it away. You want to know what I do? Booker T's gone. I'm moving Corey Graves to NXT.
Oh, I agree.
I'd get rid of Booker T.
No, I would too. But,
and I love Book.
Yeah, I would do that too. But if this is work, he's going to have to attack someone from the announce crew. He's going to have to do it. And if you are going to set up him against McAfee, if that's what people are speculating, he's going to have to beat Michael Cole up. So he's going to have to come in and beat up Michael Cole. I mean, that's the only way to set up him and McAfee if that's what they're going to do.
I think you could do so the problem you have with McAfee.
And sometimes Michael Cole just needs to be beat up. And this might be about that time.
The problem you have with McAfee is because of all the other things that he does. The ESPN shows, the game day, the Pat McAfee show, etc.
Yeah.
In order to do anything with McAfee, he has to carry that over to all these other products. And while I know that ESPN,
best time of the year for this, though.
I know why ESPN is happy to have McAfee doing WWE. They got their partnership going. When it gets to the point that it is like McAfee showing up in a crutch and a walking boot or whatever, then ESPN has their non-wrestling audience, of which it is the majority, that start going, its impact, blah, 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 and they're just never going to jump on board. I agree that Cole is likely the target here, but then the question is, who stands up to Corey Graves on behalf of Michael Cole? Because if you do it with Barrett, now you're turning him face. You have the same problem.
It has to be. I'm just saying, if the McAfee scenario, which everyone believes it's going to be, a lot of people believe it's going to be, he would have to beat up Michael Cole. And this is the best time of the year for McAfee because he's almost done with college football. He doesn't do anything with ESPN for the until August. So even if he were in a walking boot or whatever, he will recover before then. On his own show, he can do that and get away with it, and it's fine. On game day, I see what you're saying. But by the time game day comes back around, he will have recovered from whatever supposed injury he has.
I think ESPN is fine with having the lights go out during the McAfee show and the Wyatt 6 sounder playing or whatever, because they can pass. It's 5-6 seconds. We can pass on. It's kind of like our boss when the boss is like, I don't care if you go off sports, but don't do it for the whole segment of the long segment or whatever. Like there's a spot, a time, a place for it. And I think if you were going to do something with him that led back to that, it would end him being attacked and whatever it would lead to. I'm just speculating. It's just subjective opinion.
Have you forgotten the Adam Cole angle?
I do remember the Adam Cole angle, but I also remember that the Adam Cole angle was done, if I recall correctly, the Adam Cole angle was done way before the Pat McAfee show became the Thunderdome version of what it is now. It was when he was doing it in like the small office with the desk, and it was the guest sat on a couch and not in the middle of a gigantic ass, dedicated basketball gym. So I think it's a little bit different now that they're paying him as much money as they are. But again, all of that to the side. The question mark in here is whether this is a work or whether this is a shoot. I don't know. And that's when wrestling's at its best, is it not?
I completely agree. All right, we got time for like one more thing. Penta's debut, what did you think?
I thought it kicked ass, dude. I thought he was exactly what I tried to tell you all Penta was when he was at AEW. And I think it is, I'll tell you what the highlight of this was, aside from a slammer of a match with the Master Chad
and the perfect person for him to wrestle
Absolutely.
with. I mean, you don't want to put him with another luchador. You know that's going to be good. You want to put him with someone who's not a luchador.
Yep.
And he was the perfect
slammer of a match. And I'll tell you the first thought I had. The first thought I had is AEW had that in the back pocket. You did nothing with it. That was my thought. You had the ability to have that guy come out and tell stories via matches, and you sat him in the back corner for a year and a half and did nothing with him. Now, granted, Penta wanted out of AEW to come to WWE, so I don't know that it would have mattered. But if you would have used Penta the way that Penta showed you he can go on Monday night, if you'd have been using him 2 years ago and making him a highlight of your show, AEW would be in better shape.
All right, one last thing. As far as Penta goes, I was lied to for many years. He didn't need an interpreter. He speaks not perfect English, very good English. Was that shocker for you? That was
no.
It was for me because he just
no, because I knew him from not just AEW but other promotions too, and he has spoken English in the past. They were trying to sell the angle for a long time in AEW of like, oh, he's a luchador, he's an outsider here to kind of like blah blah blah. And I frankly, it's kind of disappointing. I think. But no, I think Penta showed you exactly how good he is and can be as both a wrestler and a storyteller. And it was one more spot that I'm going as an AEW fan, as a fan who owns not wrestling merch, just AEW merch, because I like to wear it out as a wrestling fan. This is one of those spots that I go, Tony, you kept that guy in the locker room while you kept sending out a bunch of goofballs to tell the same story over and over. That's a problem.
Also, my favorite present day luchador mask, Penta.
It's a dope look. I will say this. When he got to the end of the promo and he turned to the camera and he opened the eyes with the contacts in and the skull teeth underneath the mask, it's like, that's badass, dude. That's badass. You know, it's not badass Mario, and he's up next on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate. All right, guys, stepping away for a minute so we can get Mario lined up. We'll be right back. What up, Mario?
Let's talk some real fighting, dude. UFC 311s this weekend. Are you kidding me? Did that make it in the Fight Club?
Here's the reason we ran out of time, because there was a big story, but MMA was in it. Yeah. And the fact that I believe a lot of interest has been lost, and it's, I think, because there's not that star, that controversial guy or girl, that mouthpiece that makes everyone go, yeah, I want to see them get beat, or I want to watch them win. I mean, who is that person right now?
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Like, all the champions aren't.
Oh, you mean the Ultimate Fighting Championship is now more about the fighting than the
It's always been about the fighting, but in order to get people who are non-fans or like on the fence who will order stuff every once in a while, you've got to get somebody out there that you go like John Jones. I hate him. Anytime he fights, I'm going to pay money to watch, hoping that he loses, and he's like the only one left.
Sean Strickland's like that. People hate Sean Strickland. He has some bad takes.
Yeah, so I messed up. I'm going to fix it. I am. You'll see.
I was going to let Mario talk about UFC 311.
See, I was trying to fix it. I had it set up earlier before I realized that Fight Club had been moved, and I should have fixed it. I screwed up, so I'm going home now.
No, you're not. You're going home in 38 minutes.
Okay, because I'm sure Mario never makes those kind of mistakes.
Well, that's why he's
the national show.
That's why he's a national executive producer.
Well, I'm just a lowly local executive producer. Yeah.
Hatin Ass Mario, Mario Heron, executive producer of BetMGM Tonight, which you can hear every single weeknight on this and find Odyssey stations everywhere from 7 until 11 p.m. Joins us here on the Rob Brown Show, ordinarily at 9 o'clock, but he had something to do this a.m., so pushed it back 20 minutes to join us now. What's up, fella?
Nothing much, but living the dream. Talk about a great weekend of sports coming up. UFC 311, NFL Division Round weekend. Yeah, NBA, got college basketball. I mean, it's nirvana. It's heaven. I'm in heaven. Are you in heaven?
It's a really good
I'm curious on the national level when like a UFC event comes up, do they buy it for you?
No. Are you kidding
Okay.
me?
Just
Are you
curious.
kidding me? No.
Okay, so all those aspirations we have of moving up the ladder and making it to the top of the food chain, and you still got to buy your own stuff. That sucks.
Wow. Real dream killer over here, Lonzo. Happy Thursday morning.
Mario Heron joining us here on the show. All right, big dog. Let's talk a few minutes of wild card around NFL football here on the show. We spent some time earlier talking Baltimore and Buffalo. We'll do it again here. Lonzo and I both went keys to the game. Buffalo stopped Derrick Henry. Baltimore stop James Cook. It's basically, to me, whoever can success. Like, I hate when football is this simple because it kind of makes me sound like an idiot on the radio. But this is one of those games that, to me, I go, hey, Lamar and Josh Allen likely going to slug it out with each other. I think you're talking about, especially if Zay Flowers is going to miss the weekend, which we don't know if he is or not yet. You're talking about relatively equal wide receiving cores. To me, this is one of the simplest games we'll see in the playoffs. Team that better stops and executes the run game wins this game.
I do kind of agree with you on that. It's a make each team one-dimensional, and like let's see what happens in there. And let's say Zay Flowers doesn't play in this game, and then you're able to really slow down Derrick Henry, and then you're forcing Lamar to really rely on a older Mark Andrews to make plays, Isaiah Likely to make plays, Bateman to make plays. Like, that's a far easier route to victory than going, hey, Derrick Henry, why don't you have over 100 yards on us again and, have 2 touchdowns? So that's very hard to beat the Ravens when you allow that to happen. On the flip side for the Buffalo Bills, I think you have to establish the run in order to win this game, just because Josh Allen can't be your run game. It can't be your passing game all in one against this good of a team. Like, he needs someone to help carry that load in this game. That all being said, actually, speaking of it, one of my favorite plays in this game is James Cook under 56.5 rushing yards. This Ravens defense, while the secondary struggled a little bit this year, they've kind of figured it out now. Their rush defense has never, ever taken a dip this year. Every single game, they bring it, they stuff it, they dominate up front. The front seven's very hard to beat. And I don't know if I see James Cook being able to get it going on the ground. 39 yards in the first matchup. It just doesn't seem like he's going to have a big day on them. That's probably my most confident bet in this, and maybe an Allen or Lamar touchdown too, because I think both of them are going to have to rely on their legs to get into the end zone at some point.
I agree with the second. The James Cook one is interesting to me, and this is not me pushing back on it, because as much of a Josh Allen fan, as much as a Buffalo fan as I am, at the end of the day, I'm picking Baltimore in this game. And if you think James Cook is not getting to 60 yards rushing, that leads me a little bit more confident in Baltimore as a 1-point favorite to cover it up.
I'm with you. I think Baltimore wins this game as well. And I think that's the lean into it too. Like, if you think an under on James Cook, then you probably think the Ravens are going to win this game. Similar to, I think if you enter this and go, oh, I'm going over Derrick Henry, everything, right? Over in yards, rushing plus receiving, like touchdown scored, anything like that. I think then you also result in a Baltimore victory. I think that's just how it's going to go for this matchup. It's going to be the best game of the weekend, like by far. And I can't wait for it. I was talking to Ryan Horvat 2 days ago about it. And he was like, I don't even know if I want to make a solid big bet in this game and just be a football fan and watch it. And I was like, I completely understand it. Then 2 days later, we have 3 bets in it. But you know what? That's just the life of a degenerate.
We've turned it into a career. Isn't it wonderful? Hatin Ass Mario, executive producer of BetMGM Tonight, joining us here on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate, talking a little NFL divisional round. The Texans, Saturday afternoon, headed up to Kansas City to take on the Chiefs. Of the 4 games, if you got to miss one, this is the one, right? Well done to the Texans for smoking the Chargers. I think maybe the Chargers weren't quite ready as we thought they were for that spotlight. You'll have better insight on that than I do. But as well as the Texans played after the first quarter of that game against the Chargers, if the Chiefs are going to lose the game, it's not to Houston.
It's not to Houston at all. Hand up, I was completely wrong about that game. I thought the Chargers would come out swinging, and when it started, I thought, oh my God, this could end up getting really ugly, right? Like they march right down the field, get 3 points, and then you get the turnover on the first play of the game for the Texans on the offensive side of the ball, and I was like, oh my gosh, man, this could be butt kicking. Harbaugh could really put a stamp on this, and then everything falls apart. We remember that, like I said, Quinn Johnston came back down from heaven and told everyone, yeah, I'm not very good at football. Joshua Palmer didn't play. It was Vlad everything. Had to rely on Vlad to be, Superman. He was, but team still fell short. Herbert played a terrible game. But Texans in this matchup, I think this game's going to be brutally low scoring with how good Texans defense and how good Chiefs defense is. I mean, Houston's also, like this past season, guys, has hit the under the second most in the NFL. And this Chiefs defense is top 5 in points allowed. And you're also in KC, where it's insanely cold, and Arrowhead, where the fans are right in your face and they bow down on you. And, home of the Chiefs, that do that bull crap that no one really likes. And, people find extremely annoying. And, if you probably do it, you're probably, a nerd, kind of like a weird guy, You ever get that kind of feeling from Chiefs fans a little bit?
I can absolutely turn you off. And just drop you from the stream. You understand that power. I have that power, and I could absolutely do that. But you're right. There are a lot of weird fans out there, and some of them root for Chicago.
Some do. And you know what? Those are my people. I like those guys.
Well, you don't think we're really going to fight, do you? Because, what's the point? In the end, Chiefs win.
He has the ultimate card.
Go Pelicans, by the way.
Yeah. Oh, my gosh. Did you see the loss to the Hawks last night? Hawks had no one.
Yeah.
That was really bad.
That was real bad.
Real bad.
I agree.
What are the odds on the Chiefs actually winning 3 in a row?
So a 3-leg parlay with 3 consecutive wins back to back to back. I assume if anybody's going to have listen, you're taking a team this weekend that just hung a 32 spot on, I don't know, Mario, tell me if I'm being unfair. One of the, maybe they are pretty good. They got some Momo right now. Chargers. You turn around the next week, you are 8.5-point favorites over the Texans. You're not going to see a line inside of a field goal until you play Baltimore Buffalo. I do think, I'll put this out there now, Mario, fair or unfair. The winner, assuming nobody gets hurt, nothing catastrophic, the winner of Baltimore Buffalo, I'm going to say at the worst is a pick 'em against Kansas City.
I think it depends how Kansas City wins. Like if Kansas City barely beats Texans, I think you're right. I think it's going to be like a pick 'em. Probably Chiefs will open like a 2-point favorite, 2.5. If they go out there and it's 28-3 and they just smoke the Texans, then I think the Chiefs might open 3-point favorites over the Baltimore or Buffalo.
Barely win is what they do. That's what they've done all year.
I know, but
that's probably what it's going to be.
Yeah, but if they somehow Kelsey 2 touchdowns, you know what I mean, and it's just just butt kicking, then maybe it's different.
Here's my hot take, Hatin Ass Mario, for the divisional round weekend.
Okay.
Both NFC games are upsets. Washington and the Rams are both moving on.
Okay. I don't think Commanders will walk into Detroit and beat Detroit at all. They have Montgomery back. You have Sonic and Boom.
Can I give you my thoughts on it?
Yeah,
give me my thoughts on it.
I'm fully excited.
It turns into
I'm looking at his name back there, and he's asking you for permission to give his thoughts.
Yeah, well, it's called drama. All right, it's called drama. Here's my thoughts on Detroit, Washington. It turns into like a 42-40, 37-35 shootout. Okay, The Lions defense, and we did this on Tuesday's show with Lonzo. If you look at like the Lions' last like 6-8 games, they've been giving up 31 spots to teams less talented than the Washington Commanders, okay, including a couple at the crib. They let Josh Allen hang 48 on their heads at home. They are, yes, they're getting some guys back, but they are not healthy on defense. Jaden Daniels has had like 10 chances to crumble under pressure. He has won now 5 consecutive games by putting them in a position to win on the last play of the game, either off of his touchdown or off of a field goal. He's not a guy that's feeling pressure like ridiculously for a rookie. Yes, I agree the Lions can score, but they're also giving up in the 30s to teams not as good as the Commanders. And if they do that and it comes down to a late game, a late score game, why not trust Washington, who's done it 5 consecutive times, including a road game at Tampa?
Run game. That's my biggest worry for the Commanders, though, is your 27th in rushing defense, and then in away games, you give up 145 rushing yards, and then you face a healthy Gibbs and a Montgomery. What if the Lions just go to, let's just establish run the football, and it's one of those where they dominate and they win, and Goff throws for 171 yards, but Gibbs has 100 yards, Montgomery has 3 touchdowns, and they just take the clock down, and Jaden Bailey gets chances. That's only my worry in that matchup. If I was backing the Commanders, is what if Gibbs and Montgomery just have a day and they can't stop him on the ground, and then Jaden Daniels barely even gets his moment of clutchness of, oh, I can go out and win this game. That's the only thing that would give me pause on that, because Jaden Daniels did prove it last week that he's not, even as a rookie,
He's not normal, dude.
No, he's not normal. No.
Gosh, if only somebody would have said that before the season started.
Come on,
I know,
this is all about him being right. That's why he's picking Washington to win.
You got to keep going with it. Yeah.
What? It's all because I am right. That's the fun part.
So far, you seem to be correct. We'll see.
Even if Washington loses this game to the number 1 overall seed and the shortest odds to get to the Super Bowl in the NFC, if this game isn't like a 42-7 blowout, I'm still right about JD.
Yeah. You're playing with house money currently.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. And then there's the other one. And this one is the one I feel is an upset. LA on the road at Philadelphia. Jalen Hurts is like the 20th best passer in the NFL, statistically speaking. What did the Rams do last week to beat the Vikings? They just blew up the line of scrimmage, kept Sam Darnold contained, and said, if you want to throw it, but we don't think that you can. They do the exact same thing to Jalen Hurts. I don't think they're getting 9 sacks again, but they can go get 4 or 5, disrupt the timing, and we all know that if Jalen Hurts has his timing disrupted, he's going to start noodle arming that thing around the football field. The Rams just run the exact same defense they ran against Sam Darnold last week, and they are beating Philadelphia.
Only worry, and this is because I grew up in the Midwest, and this is everything that I believe in, and it's in my blood, and it's what we took pride in. It's a West Coast team going to a very cold city where it could be freezing rain, and that always goes towards Philly. It goes towards the East Coast, goes towards the Midwest. As a Midwest kid, when we got that West Coast team and it was chilly, we were smiling ear to ear going, oh my God, that first hit's going to feel so good and hurt you so bad. That's the biggest worry I have in that, though. That being said, I did bet the Rams to win this game. I know Saquon kind of owned the Rams last time. He averaged, by the way, a first down a carry. He averaged 9.8 yards a carry that first matchup. That's insane. But
hang on. Sorry, I don't mean to interject here. Week 1 through 7 Rams and week 8 through today Rams, that's 2 different football teams, dude.
2 different, yeah. And that front has been insanely dangerous. And that's why I think it's probably going to be a closer to a lower scoring game, because as good as their front is, the Eagles' front's also insane. Jalen Carter is a nightmare. And I think he's going to cause some damage to Stafford and company. Jalen Hurts looked terrible last game. And I think the Rams are also going to commit everything in their power to stopping Saquon Barkley. Like, if you don't think they're watching film the whole time going, we just have to slow this guy down in order to win this football game and force Jalen Hurts to find an A.J. Brown who's reading a book somewhere. Maybe it's, Harry Potter or something. That would be the way they find their way to take home a victory. I like the Rams in this spot. I like it in the game, a Stafford revenge game. The only thing that worries me, man, is literally that weather. And it's that West Coast going to the East Coast and, getting bodied by the cold. But
did you just disparage Harry Potter?
I'm not a Harry Potter guy. I think Harry Potter stinks.
Okay. All right.
You know how this would?
He's wrong about something else.
You know how this wouldn't be a problem?
I never liked it. What?
If every NFL stadium was domed.
No, you don't.
Then we
Lonzo,
would have.
Okay, good. I like how you're shaking.
Yeah. No. This is a gentle Florida boy who doesn't understand what it's like
hey,
to
Lonzo,
be
or hey,
in
Mario.
the real elements.
Hey, Mario.
It is gentle Florida boy.
Hey, Mario. Ask Lonzo. Ask Lonzo where he's from.
Where are you from, Lonzo?
Yeah, I'm from Ohio, and I moved here because of the snow.
Now ask him why he lives here.
Your argument doesn't make sense. I moved here because of the snow, because I know what a problem it is, and we're talking about the problem of snow for people from the West Coast or warm weather be going to play there. That proves my point. It doesn't go against my point.
Also, like that as a part of the game.
No, it's not. No, it's not. No, it's not. If it was part of the game, then we would have no domes and we'd put snow machines up there so that we could go, look, it's part of the game. But we don't do that because it's not part of the game. Part of the game is run, block, tackle, catch, etc.
So do you want a dome? You want a dome in every baseball stadium too?
I mean, yes, but that's not going to happen.
Wow, look how the intensity went down. Also,
look at that pause.
Wait a minute, Mario, quick. When's the last baseball World Series that was played in the snow or the rain? We don't. We go, this makes the game suck, so we're not going to do it. We'll play tomorrow.
Or their SAWFT. Where
you left the snow.
Yeah, I'm also not playing again.
You left it. You said I'm not built like this.
That's right. That's how difficult it is. That's what an advantage it is if you are a football player in the snow. Yep. You know that thing where you did. Please stop doing it. That thing where you did all the. I'm gonna clip the video and put a bunch of bees buzzing where you're doing that thing with your hands. It's going to be amazing.
Okay, I got it.
I'll make it into a reel.
The next time there's a game, let's release a bunch of bees onto the field and see who's better at playing in that. That's nature.
Have you ever played a football game in the snow?
No.
It's not that bad. It's really not that bad.
It's a lot of fun.
Listen to me.
You get used to it after 2 minutes. You get used to it.
Stop trying to swing your junk around. All right? This ain't about that. All right. It ain't about, it's cool. No. It's about the fact that if I'm an offense that's predicated on passing the ball in precision and timing, and the ball is snowy and cold, then my football team isn't as good at that anymore. I don't want to see who stays warm the best, Mario. I want to see who the best football team is. I don't want to see who can hold on to wet leather better. I want to see who the best football team is. And in the snow and the cold, you don't get to see who the best team is. You get to see who's better at wearing jackets. And that's booty cheeks.
Lonzo's on fire. He's on fire today.
Mm-hmm. Lonzo left the snow because he knows it sucks. All right? He can say whatever he wants to say. That right there ends the argument. If the snow was so much cool fun, he'd have stayed in Ohio.
By the way, Lonzo's 56 years old. It is the law. You have to move south at a certain age from Ohio or Michigan. You have to. Usually to Florida. But I haven't made it that far yet.
I do know more people from Ohio than like any other northern state. That's true.
Yeah.
Hatin Ass Mario Heron. You can hear him every night, every weeknight on BetMGM tonight on this and find Odyssey stations around the world. Big dog, enjoy the weekend. I hope it snows so much you can't do anything, and I hope you pretend like you enjoy it.
I do enjoy it because you have to get through the winter to get to the summer. It's called a grind. Love it. Love the grind. And stay tuned for tonight. We have Jay Gruden on at 7:20.
Nice. That's a get. Like that. Good job. I taught Mario everything he knows. Back after this on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate.
I'm sure on other shows that he takes cues so much better than on this one, right?
On other shows, this is when they normally go to break.
Actually, no.
No, not you. I wasn't talking about you. I was talking about our other show. Sorry.
Yeah, he's keeping it local, and I'm not.
Yeah, but Mario on a nationally syndicated show has cues he has to hit for the local stations, right?
Yeah, you have to be. We have hard outs.
Is every break a hard out for you guys?
Yeah.
Okay.
Is it not for you guys?
No. None of our breaks.
It should
be.
The
top of the hour breaks hard. The rest are not.
It should be.
The top of the hour is.
Instead, someone will talk through 3 minutes of bed, but there's that.
I have a lot of interesting and entertaining things to say.
It's really
the people are here to hear it.
If you ever miss a cue on the hard out, do you get in trouble?
2 in a row, you get a text.
Oh, okay.
2 in a row, you get a text.
2 in a row, you get a text pretty quick. But sometimes it's tough because you'll have like a guest on and you'll tell them and they keep going and you're like. And
there is nothing that I have hated more on the BetQL network than having a guest in the middle of what you know is a long answer and seeing that 30 pop up in the chat. I'm always like, oh no. Because the worst, to me, the personal thing, the worst feeling in the world to me is interrupting a guest, especially if you know they're like a one-time special get. I hate it.
Literally. And like it's tough too because stream, I mean, you don't have hard outs on the stream. So like you can keep it going on the stream and be fine. Like we had who was it? Do you remember you call him Crack? He does Fox Sports stuff. He's like big in the gambling space. He always has like a hat on. So he's a big story guy. Like you're gonna get 2 questions in.
We're still on stream, by the way. I'm just reminding you in case you're
Yeah, I'm not gonna this isn't like anything mean. But like he's very entertaining, great guy to have on. And like literally 2 questions. And we literally went from like break was supposed to be at 36:30 and it went to like 40. Because he just kept going and you can't like the story was so great. Like you have to let it go.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. I'm out, fellas.
All right, buddy.
See ya.
See ya.
Bye-bye.
All right, now that Mario talks so much, do I have restroom time or do I just need to wait till the end? I'll just wait.
Do you what?
I was going to say if I had restroom time, but I'll just wait.
You have a minute and a half.
Yeah, no, that's not enough time.
Where's your blazing speed?
It ain't the getting there or back. That's the time-consuming part.
Man, everybody took some heat that segment. It used to just me and him being on the same side entirely, and he had to come at the Chiefs like that.
Oh, Mario's coming for blood today.
It's universally known it's us versus Rob, no matter who it is. Ooh, they just put Captain America on the Barbasol can. That's a good move, I guess.
Like Captain America, like Steve Rogers?
No. Falcon.
Oh, new Captain America.
Yes, because that comes out next month.
Next month?
Yeah. About a month from now.
I'll do an after work midday movie.
That is one that's a family one.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. That makes sense.
We talk about that all the time, but we never actually do it because of.
We've seen a couple.
Yeah, but it's not like right after work.
That's also true. Wrapping up the radio program, Rob Brown the great one, Lonzo, and you, 844-326-3663. If you want to sneak a text in here in the end of the program, you're welcome to. Texter said, Jersey Joe has played a high school football game in the snow up in Jersey. And look where Jersey Joe lives now. In the not snow.
Still,
Where the not
what you're
snow
trying to
is.
do is it's not work.
Say that
It
snow
doesn't.
sucks and makes everything worse, and you all know it, and that's why you all live here? That is correct.
Jersey Joe, like me, old.
Basically, you have all hit the spot where you're like, snow's awesome as long as it's happening to other people, which...
When I was young and played in the snow, it was amazing. It was also, I could see where it's an amazing advantage. I, no longer young.
Dude, I used to go snow skiing. I used to go snowboarding. It's one of my favorite things on the planet to do.
We know you're 1%.
You'll notice that all of those things have the word snow in them because they're snow-centric. Football's not. We don't call it snowball. That'd be a dumb thing to call it. No. Texas said the 1997 World Series had snow flurries in Cleveland. The difference between there's a flurry and playing the game in the snow.
All right, here's another case where you're definitely contrarian, like what you try to project me to be. But that's what projection is about. You get to spend a lot of time on national shows. How many national hosts agree with you?
At least a couple. Oh God, who was it? One of the big.
You would think you would remember the names right off the top of the head.
One of the big heads, and I want to say either it was Patrick or Eisen, had the exact same take as me. Like, I want to see the best football players win.
Yeah, I doubt it was Eisen, which you can hear Monday through Friday right here, 12 to 3 on the Fan. I doubt it was him because he's a Michigan guy.
I will do the research at it may have been Patrick then, one of the big talking heads somewhere had the exact same take as me. I'm going to find out who it was.
And now, the Rob Brown Show presents Twitter.
Yeah, you need to research that so we can find out who else is wrong. All right. The first thing that's Xing today is Tyler Hero.
Did he get thrown into the ground like a child for a second time this season?
No, I think he's had his third over 30-point game.
Tyler Hero's kind of a dog, dude.
Yeah.
Tyler Hero's kind of a dog. Like he got his ass whooped a couple of weeks ago.
And I don't know if it's recent or not, but when I was looking at why it was Xing, he had the handles against LeBron, and it was ugly.
He has been in it with LeBron. He has gotten into it with, God, now I forgot who it was 2 weeks ago. I think it was a Pacers game, but somebody came up, they got into it. Dude grabbed his jersey, though, and flung him, like full hip and body turn, flung him. He went sliding across the court. I was like, oh, that one's going to sting for a minute.
You misunderstood what I said. He like broke LeBron's ankles. That.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I got
talking about handles as far as how he handles the ball and just not grabbing someone and doing that thing. So anyway, just check that out. It's pretty cool. All right, the next thing it's Xing is John Carpenter.
I got nothing.
Do you know who John Carpenter is?
I feel like I do.
Wow, this hurts. This really does. All right, today is his birthday. He's 77. He directed wrote and directed the original Halloween, The Thing.
I'm not a horror guy.
The Thing with Kurt Russell.
Yep.
Big Trouble in Little China.
Dream House Nightmare.
The Fog.
Serial Suburbia.
You're picking a bunch of things that weren't hits. I'm picking all hits.
The point here is I don't do horror, so he's not in my sphere.
All right. My heart hurts that you don't know who John
Carpenter is. I'm not a horror guy.
It's okay. Even people who aren't a horror guy, they know the movie Halloween.
I mean, I know what Halloween is, but I can't tell you anything other.
They know what it meant to the genre. It was like the beginning of it.
Again, yeah, okay. I know the movie. I know the killer. I know the slasher. Like, I know Jamie Lee Curtis was in it. I know all of the details, but I don't know the director, producer of that movie. Who wrote and directed Basketball, one of my favorite movies of all time. It's not in your wheelhouse. You're not going to know that.
So it's the guys who from South Park, right?
Okay, maybe you know it, but that's not the point.
Yeah, I just don't remember the names because I can't remember names.
Trey Parker, Matt Stone.
Okay, all right. I know the names now that you said them. All right, the next thing that's Xing is Skeleton Crew.
Season 2 approved.
Final episode aired this week.
Okay, gotcha.
Season 2 is up in the air. I'm guessing you haven't watched any of them.
I haven't yet. Here's why. I am burning through Shrinking on Apple Plus with the lady, and I am 4 episodes deep in Creature Commandos now on my solo watch. Like, we both have at any given point a show we watch together, and then we both have a show that we watch on our own whenever we're not together. I'm burning through Creature Commandos now, and Skeleton Crew, I have heard nothing but good about it so far.
I will say there's a few minor things, but for the most part, the best thing that Disney's done in a while.
Yeah.
All right. Last thing. We'll have to talk about Creature Commandos off the air. The last thing that is Xing is Diddy Done.
That dude, the Diddy conspiracy theories that are floating around now are absolutely wild.
Wendy Williams just was on a talk show and says she knows so many things.
She's had some weird stuff going on in her life.
She does.
Yeah.
And maybe some of it's because of what Diddy done.
Yeah, that's one of the conspiracy theories. Jamie Foxx had some weird stuff going on, and he what did he go in a coma for like 20 days or something?
The clone?
Yeah, there's like weird stuff.
No, I think somebody said that he's actually a clone. I think Cat Williams may have said that. But anyway,
I think Cat Williams is going off the deep end on me a little bit too.
Dude was right about a lot of things.
It's interesting stuff. All right, that's it for us. We got to split. Thanks for being here. Have a great rest of your day. For Lonzo, I'm Rob. It's the Fan Upstate. Guys, I apologize. I have to jet very quickly today. Thanks for being here. See you tomorrow.